Hey everyone, Firescale Audiobooks here. If there's a novel you'd love to hear more of, you can support us on Patreon or Ko-fi. Depending on your tier, I'll make extra parts just for the stories you're most excited about. Usually I can only upload 4 to 5 parts of each novel, but with your support we can go beyond that. And of course, don't forget to hit subscribe. It helps more than you know.
The sky was dark and the road still couldn't be seen clearly. Outside the Yuetan tribe, Liang took Liu and Yufire to the rock turtle. Moon Lord suddenly gave you the fierce beast spar. Does she have any intentions? Liu looked at the big bag of fierce beast spar in Liang's hand. At the time of parting, the Moon Lord asked Yue Feiyan to give all the beast spars to Liang. It depends on how we understand it. Liang smiled, afraid that he won't come to rescue them, or simply grateful. The intention is definitely there, but it's too much to think about it carefully. Now, no matter what the purpose of the Moon Lord, the fierce beast spar has been in the hands of Liang. This is an indisputable fact. Yes, Liu nodded. A hint of worry flashed through her silver-white eyes, and she opened her mouth to say something, but she didn't have a stand to say it. Just say what you want. Liang could clearly feel the girl's hesitation. That is, if we take in so many people. Ryu lowered his head, and the cold voice became quieter and quieter. Little black tortoise may be a bit too crowded. She was still looking forward to the fact that if the little black tortoise accepts more people, it will be just right to accept more than a dozen people. However, the white-haired girl did not expect that Liang would take in more than 50 people at once. Now the small black tortoise has a size of 1,000 square meters, and it is too crowded to take in so many people. 03. Is it too crowded? Liang laughed blankly. I have no other meaning. Liu waved her hands in a panic, worrying that Liang would misunderstand that she was too selfish, or that she would dislike her too much. I know, Liang gently reached out and rubbed the girl's head. He looked up at the small hill not far away and smiled lightly. Little black tortoise grows up very quickly. The long meeting is fast. What do you mean? Liu slowed down a bit, her pretty face a little dazed. No matter how fast you grow up, it is impossible to grow up twice, right? You will know soon. Liang strode forward. Yufire kept following behind, and when she saw Liang walked a little away, she hurried forward. She asked in a low voice in doubt, Zio Yodyu, what are you talking about? What is little black tortoise? Soon you will know, Liu said something like a lesson, what you actually learn to play mysterious. Yufei pouted a little dissatisfied. She felt that Liu had really changed, and she didn't feel the coldness she had before, become sentimental and at the same time learn badly. You just get ready, you will be stunned after a while. Liu's silver-white eyes flashed a little slyly. Yufei said with a sad face, I'm even more curious if you say this. It will be here soon. Liu shook her head. Yufei asked reluctantly, how fast is it soon? That's it. Liu's snowy chin struck forward. Ahead. Which small hill? Yufire looked up suspiciously and saw Liang stopped in front of a hill. You guys come here soon, we are going up. Liang turned around and waved and shouted. The movement that evolves twice in a row will definitely be larger, and it is safer to stay on the back of the rock turtle. Here, Liu ran over with Yufire. Little black tortoise, wake up. Liang awakened the sleeping rock tortoise. Oh Ming tilde tilde. The rock tortoise opened his eyes in confusion, and then he felt the warm breath. It's so big. Yufire stared at the rock tortoise with his eyes open blankly. She was a little scared and dared not move. Send us up, Liang ordered. Oh Ming tilde tilde. The rock tortoise immediately used its abilities to lift the rock on which Liang and the girl were standing. Yeah. What happened? Yufei felt unstable, let out a scream, and hugged the white-haired girl nervously. Liu pursed her mouth and said, we are going home. She felt that it was interesting not to walk the rock stairs this time. Home? Yufei blinked her golden eyes in a daze. How long hadn't heard the word? Well, new home. Liu smiled sweetly, but it was hidden by the mask and no one could see it. Soon, the three were sent to the back of the rock turtle. Liang, Liu, you are back. Minoru happily greeted him. You're still getting plants. Liang raised his hand and rubbed the head of the girl with rabbit ears. He glanced at the tricolor lizards lying on their stomachs in the yard and the red ghost spiders clearing their silk. Well, you have to prepare to plant it quickly or you will die. Mino's pretty face was full of seriousness. Afterwards, a distressed color appeared on her face and she said crisply, it's just that the place is too small and there will be nowhere to grow many plants. Don't worry, this problem will be solved soon. Liang chuckled lightly. Could it be? Mino opened his small mouth in astonishment. She is the only one who knows how the rock tortoise grew from a palm-sized tortoise to such a big one. It's what you think. Liang shook the cloth bag with the beast spar in his hand. Do you want to start now? Mino's blue eyes blinked. She blinked to remind Mu Liang and glanced at Yu Feier next to her. It's okay, Mu Liang shook his head. The secret to the evolution of domesticated beasts cannot be hidden. In the future, rock tortoises will grow bigger and bigger, and those who live on the back of the little black tortoise will also know what's going on. Then, finding a reasonable excuse to conceal the true capabilities of the system can reduce a certain degree of detailed leakage. Do you want to avoid it? Liu asked. She also vaguely guessed some possibilities, such as the three-color lizard that suddenly grew bigger. No, they are all by themselves. Mu Liang shook his head lightly. He squatted down and poured out the fierce beast spar and put his hands on the fierce beast spar. The system converts all the beast spars of the evil zone into evolution points. By the way, evolve the rock tortoise to level 6. Mu Liang issued 2 instructions in a row. Ding, successfully transformed, gain evolution point. 86,210. Ding, evolve from level 4 to level 6, deduct 110,000 evolution points. Ding, level 6 rock turtle has evolved successfully. Ding. Do you inherit the rock turtle's talent? Earth rock is 10 times heavier. Inheritance, Mu Liang said silently in his heart. Ding D and 10 times light and heavy is being improved. Is being adapted and the inheritance is complete. Mu Liang's body was covered by a warm current, and his muscles were torn and regenerated. There were thousands of insects crawling and biting on his bones. At this time, Mu Liang's external skin had raised blood vessels, and his whole body was flushed with redness which looked terrifying. Mu Liang, what's the matter with you? Minuo panicked, feeling helpless and wondering what to do. The first time she encountered such a situation, her eyes flushed with anxiety. It's okay, Mu Liang should be strengthening the body. Li Yue clenched her lower lip and hugged the earless girl. She looked at Mu Liang with a solemn expression. She had seen such an enhanced performance for the first time. Yu Feier stepped forward with concern, and after careful study he came to a conclusion. It is the strength of advanced 7. 7th order, Liu opened her small mouth in shock. Tier 7 is already a big shot in dashing. Well, it's Tier 7. Yu Feier's golden eyes flashed in shock. Suddenly the ground shook slightly. Boom rumbles. The rock tortoise endures the tearing caused by evolution, and at the same time, it is also restraining the house and plants on its back from hurting it. This time it took 20 minutes to strengthen. Mu Liang opened his eyes and felt that his body was better than ever before, and his 5 senses were all sublimated. Mu Liang, are you okay? Minuo joined in with red eyes. It's okay, it's better to say it's very good. Mu Liang soothed and wiped the tears from the corners of the rabbit-eared girl's eyes. He turned on the system and checked the properties. Trainer, Mu Liang, stamina 109.2, speed 103.5, strength 105.5, spirit 120, lifespan 24 years 2650 years, taming points 60. Refreshed every day can be accumulated. Evolution point 141,278. Ability 10 times the weight of earth rock level 6. Regeneration of severed limbs. Level 5 basic control level 4. Xinghui realm level 3 water elemental condensation level 3. Angel tears level 1. Domesticated beasts rock tortoise talent. Earth rock is 10 times heavier level 6. Tricolor lizard talent regeneration of severed limbs level 5. Red ghost spider talent basic control level 4. Crystal fish talent. Water elemental condensation level 3. Domestication star tea tree talent, star realm level 3. Angel wing talent, angel tears level 1. When Mu Liang saw the attributes of the human body, he was a little surprised. Every one of them has broken through to more than 100. Therefore, he is now a humanoid beast, capable of knocking out a huge stone with one punch. The biggest change is that the rock tortoise's talent is once again advanced. According to the literal understanding, it has become a change in severity similar to gravity. What happened to you just now? Liu asked concerned. She only saw Mu Liang press his hand on the fierce beast spar, and then the fierce beast spar disappeared, and then Mu Liang was suddenly strengthened. During the whole process, the white-haired girl looked a little pity, and for the first time saw someone who can get 5.5 to fortified by the fierce beast spar alone. Is it a new way of strengthening? My awakening ability is to use the fierce beast spar to evolve the fierce beast I tamed, and then get some feedback from the tamed beast. Mu Liang disguised the ability of the system as the ability to awaken. What a miraculous awakening ability, Liu said in surprise. Don't you care about the changes in your new home? Mu Liang chuckled and reminded Ting Ding with his 3 daughters. Change? The 3 women returned to their senses and turned to look away. Wow, so spacious. Mino's crisp voice was full of surprises. It's really big. Liu stared at the spacious turtle back in amazement. Now this range, let alone expand 100 times, what the hell happened? Yu Feier was still in a state of confusion, a little bit confused about the sudden changes before her eyes. You forgot the fierce beast you saw below. Ryu gave a brief introduction. We are on the back of that fierce beast. The home you're talking about, isn't it here? Yu Feier opened her small mouth, and when she reacted, she stomped the ground. Our new home is a fierce beast that can move. Ryu took off her mask and revealed a clean and pure smile. P.S. 2/4 ask for automatic subscription. Chapter 77 Perfect Black Tortoise City. 3/4. At this time, the little black tortoise has a staggering length of more than 330 meters, a width of 300 meters, and a height of nearly 100 meters. The whole body is a behemoth. Liang measured the rock tortoise's body shape in his mind and was also secretly surprised. If it continues to evolve, the little black tortoise should get rid of the small character and become a real black tortoise, becoming a moving piece of land. What are we going to do now? Shall we go directly to the Moon Lake tribe to pick up people? Liu glanced at the sky. It was getting brighter and brighter. Not in a hurry. Why should I perfect what I used to fool people before? Liang smiled bitterly. He remembered what he had said before in order to trade Xinghui tea. Now they are all going to join the future Black Tortoise City. How can they maintain their foundation? Don't let people think that he is a liar. Who asked you to make up some stories? Liu covered her mouth and chuckled. No, how can you trade Xinghui tea at a high price? Liang sighed, and now he lifted a rock and hit his own foot. No one thought that things would change so much from the beginning of the buyer to now he will become his companion. Then how do I get it? We don't have the newspaper you mentioned. Liu suppressed a smile and said playfully, also, we don't have any grilled chicken or fried steak. Nothing now doesn't mean there won't be any in the future. Liang patted his forehead and looked in the direction of the blocking wall. The corners of his mouth raised slightly and he chuckled. There are definitely two things now. Xinghui tea tree. Liu followed Liang's gaze and nodded clearly. She asked 16 curiously, what is the other? Crystal fish. As long as there is water, are you afraid that you won't be able to keep people? Liang strode towards the shelter wall. He used his power to remove the stone wall, exposing the plantation and Xinghui tea trees inside. System, come out to work. Liang touched the tree body and commanded, evolve the Xinghui tea tree directly to level 6. Ding. Evolve from level 3 to level 6, deduct 111,000 evolution points. Ding. Level 6 Starlight tea tree has evolved successfully. Ding. Xinghui realm is being improved and adapted. The inheritance is complete. Liang quietly adapted to the strengthening of the body. Watching the star tea tree in front of him was growing rapidly. In the end, the Xinghui tea tree grew to a height of 16 meters, and the tree was as thick as two people embraced. Is the Xinghui tea tree's ability still Xinghui realm? After Liang synchronizes his abilities, feel the strength of his abilities. With the 6th level ability, he can already feel part of the ability information. Xinghui realm's main ability is to spawn, evolving from twice a day to 6 times a day. Liang's eyes lit up and he muttered to himself. It also comes with air purification and soil improvement. Even the Xinghui tea tree has become taller. Mino trot over in excitement, looking up at the tall tea tree. She looked at it for a while, wrinkled her pretty eyebrows and said in distress, Xinghui tea tree grows so high and it's hard to pick the leaves. Just climb up and pick it. Liang patted the girl on the shoulder. Can you really climb up? Mino's blue eyes lit up, full of eagerness. Of course, a childhood without climbing a tree is not a complete childhood. Liang encouraged with a thumbs up. Okay, I'll climb up to pick tea in the future. Mino shouted excitedly. Isn't it a complete childhood without climbing a tree? Liu muttered to herself. She looked up at the Xinghui tea tree and felt that she had to climb it again to retrieve a little bit of her only childhood. What a miraculous awakening ability. Yu Feier was already under the star tree at this time. She touched the tree trunk on the left, buckled the bark on the right, and studied how the Xinghui tea tree suddenly grew up. Yuful, be careful. Liu's silver-white eyes shrank slightly and loudly reminded, don't step on the angel wings. Where is the angel wings? Yu Feier was taken aback, staying still and dare not move. Your heel is 1 meter away. Liu quickly stepped forward as she reminded. She raised her hand and grabbed the blonde woman's cheeks. She immediately pulled it up and reprimanded. The place you're staying now is a plantation. Give me a good look at my feet. Oh, it hurts. Zioyu, be lighter. Yu Feier grinned, tilted his head, and pretended to be very painful. Huh, I remember the position of the angel's wings. Liu pointed to the flower with white wings on the ground. Remember, I remembers. Yu Feier's golden eyes stared at the white flower, and there was a gleam of research in his eyes. This is not the time for you to study. Liu straightened the blonde woman's head. Oh, Yufire blinked her golden eyes and asked blankly, when can I study then? There is still work to do today. Liu pushed the blonde woman to the side. She pointed to the plants piled up in the distance and said, let's finish planting that pile of things first. Okay, Yufei glanced at Angel Wings regretfully, nodding helplessly. At this time, Liang soothed the tricolor lizard so that it won't rush to Yufir. After all, the tricolor lizard also has a task of guarding the plantation. Liang calmed the big lizards and added Yufei to the approved list. Next is the crystal fish. Liang came to the other side of Xinghui tea tree. He manipulated the soil, removed some green vegetables, and formed a place 10 meters long and wide. It should be enough to dig a reservoir so wide. Liang looked at the place. He used his power to dig out a 5-meter-deep Shitoru pool and opened a water channel to the outside of the plantation so that people who came to live afterwards could use it easily. There is water, but a house is short of it. Liang looked back at the house he had built before and suddenly felt that the house should be moved to Xinghui tea tree. In this way, the plantation under the Xinghui tea tree is the core area, and the other places are the outer areas, which just happen to live in for Wei Zheng and their family. After all, a power needs to be divided into levels and treatments are also different. Very well, just follow this idea. Mew did as he thought of it. He used the ability of earth rock manipulation, coupled with the ability of earth rock 10 times the lightness and heaviness, and easily moved the house like a boat on the surface of the water, moving the house under the star tea tree on the ground. Building a new house requires a lot of stones, and the plantation has to be expanded. Liang is making great efforts to fudge her face before. His mind and thoughts commanded again. Little black tortoise, I need a lot of dirt and rocks. Woo tilde tilde. With a low growl, the rock tortoise manipulated the mud and rocks around it and transported it back. I felt the light blocked off the top of my head. The three women looked up and saw an amazing scene. Debris was slowly surging up the rock turtle's back and quickly formed a wall around the tortoise's shell. Hoo-hoo, fortunately the little black tortoise cooperates with me, it is so easy. Liang exhaled a few long breaths. He used his ability to cooperate with the rock tortoise to condense a wall of 4 meters high and 2 meters wide on the edge of the tortoise shell. Then, rows of houses rose from the ground, all houses condensed with stones. It's done. As for installing doors and windows, let them do it themselves. Liang clapped his hands and wiped the sweat from his forehead. It is not difficult to build a house frame, as long as the stones are gathered together to form rows of small bungalows. The three women, Liu, Minuo, and Yufei, stood aside with blank eyes, watching Liang's various amazing planning operations. Yufei's golden eyes gleamed with brilliance, and she turned her head and asked the white-haired girl, is he so exaggerated every time he moves? It shouldn't be there. Liu thought about it carefully, still feeling that this time it was more exaggerated. Now Liang has built a fairly complete small city with the power of a man and a beast. It always feels like something is missing. Liang stood on the ridge of the plantation and scanned the surrounding area. Liang, will we all live under the Xinghui tea tree in the future? Minuo rushed over happily. Yes, in the future we will live in the outer house and we will live in it. Liang pointed to the rows of houses not far away. Then we have to add a wall here. 33. Mino pointed to the ridge under his feet and said worriedly, otherwise someone will come in to pick tea. That's right. Liang finally knew what was near, but his vision was limited. When you go out, you can see the rows of houses around and others can see the inside of the plantation. You don't need a wall, look at me. Liang's mouth raised. He held the ground with both hands and asked the rock tortoise to cooperate again to raise the ground of the plantation in the center area by 4 meters. Mino felt a tremor and squatted down quickly. When she calmed down, she stood up and was stunned. The plantation became a convex like an island. In this way, our house is taller than others and it is as high as the wall. Liang stood on the edge and looked down, suddenly feeling bold and bold. The concave-shaped area between the wall and the mountain is where other people live. The high ground is where the core personnel of Black Tortoise live. What? Liu carried a sapling blankly on her face, jumped up to the high ground from below, and planted the sapling silently on the edge of the high ground. What? Yufei's expression was numb, carrying 2 bags of medicinal herbs and also jumped to the high ground. There are so many shocked today that the two of them don't know how to express it anymore. It seems that there is still a little detail missing. Liang scornfully saw this scene. He discovered that there were no steps in Kamikachi, and the waterway of the pool had to be redirected into the outer area. Liang quickly got out the stairs. The waterway of the pool also leads to the outer area, and a well is built to store water in the outer area. Papa, finally it's done. Liang clapped his hands and looked at everything, filled with a sense of accomplishment. Next, as long as he put the crystal fish from the big bathtub into the pool, he can set off to pick up people. At that time, Liang could generously introduce the city of Black Tortoise to the Moon Lord and the others, instead of verbally. The gate of the Yuetan tribe was very lively at this time, and everyone was waiting for the messenger of the Thousand Tree tribe to arrive. Moon Lord and Yue Feiyan were surrounded by people, and many people were watching from farther away. Elder led 200 or 300 hunting teams standing not far away, faintly forming an encirclement to prevent the Moon Lord and Yue Feiyan from escaping. However, he didn't dare to get too close, for fear that the Moon Lord would suddenly make a move. Elder took a few steps forward, stopped not far away, and asked suspiciously, "Moon Lord, why did you suddenly change your mind?" After all, there was a trace of anxiety in his heart, and the anxiety came from more than 50 people outside the Yuetan tribe. It was Wei Jiang's more than a dozen hunting team members, and their families, all carrying the salutes of large bags and small bags, as if they were about to travel far. "I want to become the master of the Thousand Trees tribe, what do you think?" The Moon Lord slightly squinted his blue eyes, jokingly at the gloomy old man in front of him. Elder bit his yellow teeth and looked at the Moon Lord in amazement, wondering if he should believe her. If the Moon Lord really wants to enter the Thousand Trees tribe, then his life will not be easy, and he will definitely be put to an end by the pillow wind. Elder knew that the new leader of the Thousand Trees tribe was a very suspicious person. Otherwise, he would not send an envoy to receive the Moon Lake Department in advance. "It scares you?" The corner of Moon Lord's mouth bends slightly, as if thinking of something funny. She pulled the water-blue hair around her ears, pretending to be concerned. "Big Elder, I heard that your house was patronized by a thief, and all valuable things were taken away. You have to take care of your body, don't be mad, just kick your legs and go." When the Moon Lord said this, his charming and pretty face was full of smiles, so there was no such thing as a caring scent. Big Elder's chest was bloody, his throat was fishy, and his cheeks were flushed. He resisted and swallowed the blood, remembering that all the plants he had collected in his family were gone. He felt a needle pain in his heart, which made him unable to breathe and almost fainted again. Yue's red eyes lit up, and her mother's words were silently recorded in her heart. "It turns out that cursing can still be like this. You don't need to swear like a shrew, and you can get angry to death." "Oh, Elder, what's the matter with you? Why are you blushing? Are you thinking of happy things?" The Moon Lord tilted his head pretendingly in surprise. She pretended to be dissatisfied, but then smiled and said, "If you have something happy, you should tell it and share it with us, or did you catch the thief?" Puff Elder finally couldn't help it. His blood surged again, and blood spurted out of the mouth on the spot, and the person fainted suddenly. Big Elder fainted and ends. "Quickly, the doctor will come here." A large group of people rushed up in a hurry. "It's really not fun to spray." The Moon Lord curled his lips, suddenly lost interest. She glanced at everyone on the hunting team, her aqua-blue eyes flickered, and she didn't know what she was thinking. For one thing, the Moon Lord didn't want to understand, who was so powerful that he vacated Elder's house. Mother is so amazing. Yue Feiyan admired the Moon Lord even more, and she was stunned by the words Elder. "Ah, what am I good at?" Moon Lord turned his head and looked at the red-haired girl with a smile. "Yes, that Yue Feiyan was a little uncomfortable by Yue Zhacho, so I am embarrassed to continue. She wanted to be like a mother and fainted her popularity. If you want to learn from my old lady who is so irritating, you must first be strong enough." The Moon Lord's tone was plain and flat, with a hint of reprimand, reminding, "If you are irritated to someone who is stronger than you, you deserve to be beaten." "Is that so?" Yue Feiyan blinked blankly. "Of course, this is how my old lady came here." The Moon Master thought of his previous self, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but raise a point. "Others can't curse and swear, and they can't beat and beat. This way you can reap double happiness." "Oh, I see." Yue Feiyan wrote down the words seriously. She decided to become stronger, and when others wanted to do it, they would roast them on fire and then scold them again. "Also, you have to learn to be more elegant." The Moon Master glanced at his daughter's excited, pretty face. She was suddenly a little worried whether her daughter would get crooked in the future. "Elegant? Why?" Yue Feiyan came back to her senses and asked in doubt, "Is it as elegant as my mother?" "If it's not elegant, don't you marry anymore." The Moon Master glared at the red-haired girl. She said in the voice of someone who came from you, "If you are also very savage, no one would dare to marry you." "Married or something, I'm still young." Yue Feiyan twisted her clothes corners. "Little. You are 17 years old." The Moon Master glanced at her daughter and said disgustedly, "It's all an old girl, and no one will want it in 2 years." "If I'm an old girl, then my mother would." Yue Feiyan wanted to fight back in embarrassment. "What am I?" Moon Lord squinted his eyes, revealing a gaze full of danger, and smiled at the red-haired girl. Mother, you are so elegant. Yue Feiyan abruptly held back the three words old woman. You still have a lot to learn. Moon Lord slowly opened his aqua blue eyes. Mother, I'm a little curious. Yue Feiyan is not stupid. She noticed something from the words of the Moon Master. What are you curious about? The Moon Lord raised his eyebrows in surprise and gave a warning to Elder who was first aid. Yes, Mother, were you as elegant as before? Yue Feiyan asked with her red eyes, pretending to be innocent. The Moon Lord's forehead violently blue veins, clenched his fist, released it again, clenched his fist again, back and forth 3 or 4 times. She resisted punching her daughter, remembering that she was a teenager and it was the peak period of the Yuetan tribe. She and Big Sis are the little monsters of the tribe, and they are distasteful everywhere with their own talents, but others can't beat them. The last change allowed her to converge on the character of the little demon, and she began to transform into a dark-bellied and elegant. Mother just assumed that I didn't ask. Yue Feiyan stepped back 2 steps, already feeling a hint of danger. Humph, the Moon Lord hummed charmingly. Mu Liang, why haven't you come yet? Seeing her mother's face, Yue Feiyan changed the subject abruptly. It's been a long time since dawn. It is estimated that something has been delayed. A trace of worry flashed through Moon Lord's blue eyes. If people from the Thousand Trees tribe come, but Mu Liang hasn't come yet, then it's dangerous. I don't know what Black Tortoise City is like. Yue Feiyan is full of expectation and curiosity about the first big city to go to. As long as it's not too bad, it's okay. The Moon Lord didn't expect much. She only needs a place where she can live her life well, and she wants to live for herself once. Wait a minute, how do we rush out and meet Mu Liang? Yue Feiyan looked worriedly at the hunting team around him. Everything is with my old lady. Moon Lord Yinfeng bit her slightly, and a trace of pain flashed across her pretty face. She is already very hard standing now. If she really wants to do it, she can only launch an attack and lose her mobility. The black-bellied woman also hopes that Mu Liang will be stronger and can lead the two of them to escape, otherwise she will really be desperate. Sing. Yue Feiyan's eyes drooped slightly, and a trace of worry flashed through her red eyes. The reason why the red-haired girl teased her mother is to distract her, so that she doesn't have to feel the pain all the time. Big Elder woke up great, cheers came from the hunting team. Huh. It won't die like this. Moon Lord's blue eyes flashed with a cold light. She didn't put the Big Elder in her eyes very much. This time the house was stolen and the old man would not die. Good. Here someone is coming. There was an exclamation from the crowd. Help me up quickly. Big Elder wiped blood from the corner of his mouth. He struggled to get up, supported by someone, and tried his best to step on his feet and look into the distance. The Moon Lord also looked up and looked into the distance, vaguely seeing a group of people coming towards the Moon Lake tribe. People are getting closer, and some things can already be seen clearly. A banner with a tree painted on one side is flying. Tree is the totem and mark of the Thousand Tree tribe. It's a member of the Thousand Trees tribe. The Moon Lord's face was suddenly hard to look. Mother, what shall we do now? Yue Feiyan's pretty face was full of anxiety. She didn't want to go to the Thousand Trees tribe, nor did she want to marry the leader of the Thousand Trees tribe. Don't worry, Mu Liang will rush over. The Moon Master comforted her daughter, and her charming face was also a little worried at this time. The messenger of the Thousand Tree tribe will arrive so quickly. This is something that Moon Lord did not expect. What if Mu Liang comes and can't defeat the messenger of the Thousand Tree tribe? In the messenger group of the Thousand Trees tribe, a middle-aged and a young man took the lead. Dage, what do you think the leader thinks? The young man asked, a little puzzled. You actually want to marry the leader of the Moon Lake as his wife. What Liding, do you think Moon Lord is not worthy of the leader? Dap turned his head and asked. It's not that I don't deserve it, but I heard that this month's lord is very fierce. Liding lowered his voice and said in a low voice, I heard from a member of a hunting team that the Moon Lord had beaten some tribes who had come to propose marriage to them. Do you think the leader can't suppress the Moon Lord? Dap squinted. That's not the case. That Moon Lord may not even be able to beat Dage. Liding quickly shook his head and chuckled. I just think that the future mistress of Thousand Trees City should be more virtuous. The mistress of the Tai District, we will definitely not get along well in the future. If you have something, don't say it everywhere, you will be scolded by the leader. Dapu warned and looked at his brother-in-law. He lowered his voice and said a little secret. The leader is interested in the blood of that woman and is preparing for the next generation. It is difficult to say whether it is the hostess or not. If the Thousand Trees tribe wants to grow larger, it needs more water sources, among which the water system Awakener is one of the backup water sources. If the Thousand Trees tribe has several water system Awakeners, even if the water in the underground river runs out, they can continue. Of course, Dap will not tell Liang this unobtrusive person these words, lest he divulge the future strategic plan of the Thousand Tree tribe. Isn't the leader marrying the Moon Lord as the orthodox wife? Liang asked in amazement. How could this be completely different from the news he had heard? I'm not so sure, Dap shook his head. Some words he still can't say 33. After all, he regards the Moon Lord as a woman who is responsible for the blood of the awakened person of the water system. If such words spread, the people of the original Yuetan tribe would have a little resistance. Moreover, the strength of the Moon Lord is also tier 6, and in the future, it will also be ranked in the top 5 in the Thousand Tree tribe. If you offend the other party too much, the leader will definitely deal with some people in order to appease the Moon Lord. So it is. Liang nodded thoughtfully. He was very clever to interpret Dap's attitude and the meaning of the words. It turns out that Moon Lord is probably not the future orthodox mistress, which is a bit interesting. Huh, people from the Yuetan tribe have all come out to greet us. Dap looked at the gate of Yuetan tribe in surprise. He also thought about sneaking into the Moon Lake tribe first and discussing how to conquer the Moon Lake tribe with Elder. Why is it a little different from what the leader said to him? Dage, it seems that the big elder of the Moon Lake tribe still has a little trick, and it can actually conquer everyone before we arrive. Liang shrugged easily, thinking that it would take a lot of hard work. He didn't expect it to be so simple to complete the task. It's better to be cautious. The Moon Lord is also a tier 6 awakener. Dapu didn't dare to be careless. If this mission fails, he is likely to lose his position as the head of the competitive hunting team. Yes, Liang suppressed his casual attitude. Dapu and Liang led a dozen people and quickly marched towards the gate of the Yuetan tribe. Welcome the arrival of the envoys of the Thousand Tree tribe. Elder was greeted by others. Are you? Dap looked at the shaky old man with blood on the corners of his mouth and collar. I am the elder of the Moon Lake tribes. Big Elder forcibly endured the dizziness coming from his head, reluctantly twitched the corners of his mouth, and said, Everyone in our Yuetan tribe has agreed to merge into the Thousand Trees tribe. Very well, where is the Moon Lord? There was a hint of joy on Dap's face, and it seemed that the task was half completed. He only needs to move the mother and daughter of the moon and the people of the Moon Lake tribe back to the Thousand Trees tribe to complete the task. That one is the Moon Lord. Big Elder had an ugly face and pointed sideways at a love figure in an empty area in the crowd. Let's go over. Dap abandoned Elder and took the lead. Moon Lord is their main goal as for everyone else. Big Elder's face changed and the attitude of Dap and others was different from what he thought. According to the discussion between the leader of the Thousand Trees tribe, the Moon Lord is the addition to the integration of the Moon Lake tribe into the Thousand Trees tribe. Why is the messenger's attitude toward the Moon Lord so positive now, so cold to him? Moon Lord, Dap passed through the crowd, looking at the pale, charming woman in astonishment. Who are you? Moon Lord squinted vigilantly. She felt a strong atmosphere of danger from the man in front of her, who was a strong man at the same level as him. I am Dapu from the Thousand Trees tribe, and I am here to welcome the Moon Lord to return. Dap spoke bluntly and didn't go to the corners. He saw that there was something wrong with the Moon Lord, and he should have been seriously injured. At this moment, Dap really looked at Elder differently, and he could hurt the leader of the Moon Lake tribe. No wonder he would welcome them collectively. The Yuetan tribe, which has lost the power of the main moon, is really not the opponent of their group. Welcome, it's to take my old lady back to be a tool for producing water, right? A touch of sarcasm threw up at the corner of the Moon Lord's mouth. How come Moon Lord misunderstood? Dapu's pupils shrank, and he glanced calmly at the big elder who followed. He found something was wrong, and the attitude of the Moon Lord didn't seem like he wanted to cooperate with them to merge into the Thousand Trees tribe. Misunderstanding that your Thousand Tree tribe BGFF wants the power in my bloodline, the Moon Lord sneered and pulled the hair around his ears. Dap suddenly understood what was wrong, and the Moon Lord knew clearly that the Thousand Tree tribe had plans for her resettlement. He suddenly had the urge to slap Elder to death, and this person actually leaked the leader's intentions. Moon Lord, follow us to the Thousand Trees tribe, the leader values you very much, Dap said with a stern face. Now that the intention has been leaked, the Moon Lord must be brought back no matter what. If you want my old lady to go back with you, it depends on your abilities. The Moon Lord's silver teeth bite, and his breath suddenly rose. Moon Lord, you should be seriously injured. You are not my opponent now. Dap's pupils shrank, turning from black to brown vertical pupils. He possesses the power of a cheetah. Once the speed expands, the current Moon Lord alone can't touch him at all. If you don't try, how can you know? Moon Lord said unwillingly to show weakness. She was anxious in her heart. Why this Liang hasn't come yet? The old lady is really desperate. Mother Yue's crimson eyes gleamed with fire, ready to support her mother at any time. Look, is there a hill moving there? Suddenly, a voice of astonishment came from the crowd. The hill is moving, what are you talking about? Some people sneered retort, there are really hills moving. Then someone shouted in horror. The greater the commotion in the crowd, it also attracted the attention of Dapu, Yuezhu and others, and the confrontation was not so fierce for a while. What are they arguing about? Dap looked ugly. He found that even if the mission is to take the Moon Lord back, if the Moon Lord does not cooperate at that time, I believe the leader will be very upset. Dardage. Liang yelled in a panic, you look over there. What are you looking at? Dap frowned and turned around, looking up. A hill of nearly 100 meters is moving towards the Yuetan tribe. Dapu's pupils tightened and he lost his voice. Savage beast, how come there is an ancient barbaric beast here? Dage, let's run away. Liang dragged Dap anxiously, wanting to escape. He had to stay with a powerful person to survive. Oh Ming tilde tilde. With a loud roar, the hill moved faster. We can't escape, our speed is not as fast as it. Dapu's face was pale. He actually is not very worried about his own safety. Although the ancient barbarian beast is large in size, he can avoid being trampled by the barbarian beast in a small area. That is, this time the Moon Drift tribe is over. Dap smiled bitterly and turned to look at the people who flocked back to the Moon Lake tribe. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw Moon Lord and Yue Feiyan standing still in place. Moon Lord, you should run away quickly, Dap persuaded in a low voice. He couldn't take two more people to avoid being trampled by the ancient barbarians. Escape? The Moon Lord's pretty face was pale, and it was very difficult for him to even walk. How could he escape? Yue Feiyan squatted in front of the Moon Lord and urged anxiously, Mother, you come up quickly, I will run on your back. Feiyan don't care about me. The Moon Lord pointed to the side direction and shouted, you run quickly, don't go back to the Moon Lake tribe. The red-haired girl is carrying her on her back, absolutely not running fast. No, I won't leave my mother. Yue Feiyan has tears in her eyes, pursing her lips stubbornly and said, if my mother doesn't go, I won't go. It's too late to leave now, Dap sighed. He tensed up all over, looking at the barbarous beast that was only a few hundred meters away from them. Run away, the fierce beast has attacked the Yuetan tribe. Where are the hunters? Let them resist the beasts. Go away, let me pass. The gate of the Yuetan tribe was in chaos and shouts and curses crossed and echoed. Hurry up, Wei Zhenghis roared. More than a dozen people from the hunting team rushed from a distance come over. They are going to save the Moon Lord, but they are too far away. Originally, they were afraid that the hunting team would come to catch them. After they left the tribe, they stood far away. Now it has become a long distance for them to rush to save the Moon Lord. Take me away quickly. At this time, Elder was so scared that he couldn't move, and he held the hunting team members running around with both hands. Thump. No one took care of Elder and he was pushed to the ground. No, I don't want to die yet, take me away quickly, Elder yelled in horrors. The Moon Lord police glanced at the big Elder who collapsed on the ground, and then looked at the ancient barbarians that were getting closer and closer. She pulled up the red-haired girl who was squatting in front of her and said sadly, Feiyan, it seems that we can't get to Black Tortoise. Mother, it's okay. Yue Feiyan trembled, hugged the Moon Lord tightly, and buried her small face in her mother's arms. Go, Dapu grabbed Liang and aimed at the feet of the ancient barbarians, preparing to predict the position in advance and avoid the footing. Boom, the beast's feet fell and the gale passed by. Unexpectedly, my old lady will die at the feet of an ancient barbaric beast today. The Moon Master patted her daughter's back sadly, her aqua-blue eyes gleaming with memories. Big sis, I may not be able to wait for the truth you want to bring back. 10 seconds have passed, 20 seconds have passed. Stop, dude. Dap waited for a while, but the ancient barbarians did not lift their feet. She looked up and saw that the ancient barbarian really stopped and stopped moving forward. Oh, Moon Lord Yue Feiyan, I'm here to pick you up. The hearty and heroic voice came from the head of the barren beast. This voice is, Moon Lord suddenly raised his head and looked at the familiar figure standing on top of the barren beast. Liang jumped down and landed gracefully in front of the Moon Lord, just like the scene last night. He warmed his left eye wickedly and chuckled, how about this welcome ceremony? The Moon Lord's nose was sour, and a mist of water appeared in his aqua-blue eyes. The old lady really thought that she was going to die like this, and she was still unwilling to have never been in a relationship, and she didn't have a daughter of her own while she was upset and regretful. You suddenly told me that you came to pick up people when you made such a big movement. The Moon Master bit his lip and said with a smile, Liang, you are such a B*********. At this time, she strangely found that she was more not angry, but a sense of joy from the rest of her life. Liang, Yue Feiyan heard a familiar voice and quickly came out of the Moon Master's arms. She stared at the familiar figure in front of her in surprise, and then carefully raised her head to look at the unmoving barbaric beast. Ha ha ha, scared, Mu Liang smiled heartily. He turned his head to look at the crowd running wild behind the Moon Lord and the big elder who collapsed on the ground. How? I helped you out of this anger. Mu Liang smiled and said with a thumbs up, don't thank me. Who wants to thank you? Yue Feiyan gave him a charming look. She wiped the corner of her eye and slapped her waist in a complaint. You scared us too hard, I almost thought it was really going to die. The red-haired girl was scared that her legs were still soft at this time. I want you to adapt in advance. Mu Liang gave a thumbs up, pointed behind him and proudly introduced. Get to know my little black tortoise. This ancient barbarian beast belongs to you. The Queen of the Moon stared at the water-blue eyes after realizing it. Uh-huh, Mu Liang nodded. It turns out that the giant fierce beast is called the ancient barbaric beast. How did you do it? The Moon Master asked in surprise. An ancient barbarian beast can also represent the seventh order combat power at its worst, and it can run wild in the wilderness. Well, this is... A smile flashed across Mu Liang's eyes and he spit out two words, secret. Cut, the Moon Lord cast his lips in disgust, knowing that he was asking too violently. Mu Liang, it won't rush over. Yue Feiyan asked worriedly. She is still a little scared now. It is because the size of the rock turtle is too deterrent. If you step on it with 1 foot, I am afraid that the gate of the Moon Lake tribe will be flat. Will not. Mu Liang calmly said, little black tortoise is very obedient. Da. Wei Zheng and his party finally rushed over. They cared. Miss Moon Lord, are you okay? It's okay, a false alarm. Moon Lord smiled and wiped the tears from the corners of his eyes. Is this ancient barbarian beast brought by His Excellency Mu Liang? Wei Zheng looked at the tall rock tortoise in awe. Yes, you quickly bring your family over, we are going to Black Tortoise. Police Mu Liang glanced at the crowd in the distance. He asked the rock tortoise to come here to save trouble, so as not to have to wrestle or something, and let the little black tortoise stop directly. Who dares to stop him and take people away? Okay, let's go right away, Wei Zheng said respectfully. He took the team members to pick up the family again. After the next second, Your Excellency, do you want to take away the Moon Lord? Dap stood not far away with Liang, and heard some conversations among several people. Yes, do you have any questions? Mu Liang turned his head and looked over with a dark face, his black eyes filled with depth and oppression. Is there really someone who is not afraid of death to stop him and pick him up? No problem at all. Dap trembled and took a panic step back. He was staring at him with furry hair and he had a creepy feeling. Intuition reminded and feedback to him, if you dare to stop it, it will be dangerous. Rank 7, this person is definitely a powerhouse of rank 7. It's okay. Mu Liang turned his head and looked at the crowd slowly converging at the gate of Yuetan tribe. He said to the Moon Lord and Yue Feiyan. Let's go up first. Go up? Yue Feiyan's eyes widened suddenly and asked in amazement. Isn't it going to the back of little black tortoise? Yeah, otherwise you want to walk down, Mu Liang teased. I want to go up, Yue Feiyan shouted eagerly. Then go. Mu Liang looked at Wei Zheng and his group who were rushing past with his family, then turned and walked towards the rock tortoise. For flowers. Feiyan, come here, the Moon Lord yelled in a low voice. She stood for too long, trying to walk to find that her feet were numb. Yue Feiyan was trotting to the rock turtle at this time and did not hear the Moon Lord's voice. When the Moon Master saw her daughter didn't respond, the silver teeth almost broke. Mu Liang, can you help me with that? Her pretty face flushed, embarrassedly pulled the hanging hair on her cheek. What's the matter? Mu Liang turned around and looked at the black-bellied woman who was motionless. My feet are numb and I can't move a bit. The Moon Lord has no grace at all, only the shyness of a girl. If you don't mind. Mu Liang glanced at the red-haired girl who had just turned around. He asked inquisitively, or let me hug you. Trouble you? The Moon Master pursed her pale lips shyly and secretly glared at the red-haired girl. Yue Feiyan felt her mother's gaze and reacted from the excitement in the back of the ancient barbaric beast. 0. At this time it was too late. Mu Liang once again used the princess hug method to hug the blushing Moon Lord. When the Moon Lord was held by the red-haired girl, he opened and closed silently and uttered 3 words. Are you finished? Yue Feiyan paled and said 3 words to her mouth. No, I'm done. The red-haired girl can already imagine how her mother will play tricks on her in the future. Big miss, what's wrong with you? Wei Zheng brought his family over and looked at the dazed girl. No, it's nothing. Yue Feiyan rubbed her cheeks, smiled, and ran after Mu Liang. It's nice to be young, Sutter sighed, rubbing her face. At this time, some daring people from the Yuetan tribal hunting team were preparing to come and check. After all, the giant beast had stopped for a while and the Moon Lord and others were all right nearby. Come on, those people are ready to come over. Wei Zheng helplessly urged his wife. Before leaving, the group glanced at the big elder who collapsed on the ground. The old face was full of stupidity, and people were already scared and stupefied. Liang used his ability to send a group of people on the back of the rock tortoise and gave the little black tortoise the order to leave. Rumbling, the rock tortoise left, leaving behind a bunch of dumbfounded people who didn't know what was going on. Dage, the Moon Lord has been taken away. What should we do? Liang asked cautiously. Relocate everyone back to the tribe. Dap rubbed his brows and looked at the ancient barbaric beast that was going away. Just forget it, Liang was stunned. This matter is not something we can intervene. We have to let the chief find a way. Dap remembered the leader's temperament, and it was probably going to be a while. The mysterious man who took the Moon Lord away was afraid that the leader would hate him. Huh, Dage, look, someone is chasing after the wild beast. Liang pointed to the 7-8-man team in surprise. What's the surprise? Every tribe has such a mouse. They either steal things or search for intelligence. After a glance, Dap waved his hand indifferently. The fence just built on the back of the rock tortoise. More than 50 people, including Moon Lord, Yue Feiyan, and Wei Zheng, stared blankly at the tall tree on the opposite high ground and a large swath of green plants. So beautiful, Yue Feiyan's small mouth opened into a zero shape. It's incredible. The Moon Lord murmured unconsciously. It is hard to imagine that one day she could see such a large patch of green. A miracle, Wei Zheng stared at the tall tree blankly. He also knew from the old generations that the tree was green, and now he finally saw it. It turns out that the tree looks like this. The green trees are really beautiful. Liang smiled at the corner of his mouth. Hearing the shocked exclamations of the people around him, he felt that his own busyness was not in vain. Liang, come here quickly. Mino stood on the high ground, hiding behind the white-haired girl, and waved his hands. Come soon, Liang shouted back and ordered the rock turtle to leave the Moon Lake tribe. He said to everyone go down, the house is ready. Thank you very much, Wei Zheng said gratefully. Liang held the Moon Lord and took the lead down the stone stairs built along the wall. Wow, lots of houses. Yue Feiyan came up with curiosity. She ran around, watching from left to right, not for a while. Yue Feiyan ran back, blinking her red eyes, and said in surprise, Liang, the houses here are all the same. She didn't wait for Liang to reply, she said to herself. The streets are also very tidy, there is no smell, and the air smells 033 so good. Then what do you think of this place? Liang listened to the sweet and cheerful voice of the girl and asked softly, do you like this place? Very good, much better than Yuetan tribe. Yue Feiyan answered without thinking. Of course I like it here, everything looks very clean. Just like it, Liang's mouth raised. He turned his head to look at Wei Zheng and others who were next to him and ordered. Wei Zheng, you arrange for everyone to allocate a house, each house has a house. Yes, Wei Zheng replied respectfully. He started arranging people to allocate houses and no longer followed Liang. You two live on the high ground. Liang held the Moon Lord and walked towards the stone stairs of the high ground with Yue Feiyan. Is it on top of a lot of plants? Yue Feiyan blinked in surprise. Well, it's above. Liang nodded lightly. Moon Lord and Yue Feiyan are the leaders of a tribe, and they are a bit of a petty, impolite, and lack of hospitality. Your Excellency Liang, the Black Tortoise City, you said. The Moon Lord thought of something and looked up at Liang's chin. She squinted her aqua-blue eyes and asked tentatively, could it be here? Yes, this is Black Tortoise City. Liang nodded generously and admitted. He lowered his head to the water-blue eyes of the Lord last month and asked with warm eyes, I shouldn't let you down, right? No, no. Moon Lord's pretty face flushed and turned her head twistedly, not daring to look at him. This is Black Tortoise City. Yue Feiyan reacted and exclaimed excitedly. Then the big tree we saw just now is the sacred tree in Black Tortoise. Yes, that one is the Xinghui Tai tree. Liang nodded with a smile. I'm going to have a look. Yue Feiyan quickly climbed the stone stairs and disappeared into the sight of the two. Yue Feiyan is very happy. Liang smiled lightly. She used to be too depressing. Moon Lord's blue eyes flashed with pity. She put too much pressure on her daughter, which caused the red-haired girl to be unhappy every day. In order not to worry her, she pretended to be okay. I don't think it will be any more, Liang said as he walked the last stone staircase. He saw the rabbit-eared girl and the white-haired girl greet him, but his eyes were not friendly to the Moon Lord. What's the matter? Liang asked pretendingly. He didn't intend to get involved in the small fights between girls, otherwise it would become more and more complicated. The best way to get along is to let the flow go as it happens. Mino smiled and shook his head and said clearly, it's time for breakfast. Okay, everyone should be hungry too. Liang walked to the hall holding the Moon Lord. He didn't see the blonde woman and asked curiously, "Where is Yufel?" "She is studying medicinal herbs in the plantation." Liu pointed to the half of the figure exposed by the Xinghui Te tree. Yue Feiyan was standing behind the blonde woman at this time, watching quietly without speaking. "Call them in for breakfast." Mu Liang glanced at it and said gently, "Wait a moment to announce something." "Okay," Liu nodded and glanced at the Moon Master before leaving. "Ah, it seems that I have to come down and walk by myself." The Moon Lord's pretty face was shy. In front of Mu Liang, she was embarrassed to tease the two white-haired girls. "Can you go?" Mu Liang asked concerned. "It should be no problem," the Moon Master elegantly reported. "Okay." Mu Liang gently put the Moon Lord down. Moon Lord's legs softened and his body almost fell with the runner. "I'll help you in." Mu Liang reached out and grabbed the Moon Lord's arm and helped him into the hall. "Huh," Mino followed behind him unhappily. On the table in the hall there is a hot tomato broth in the center, and a few plates of grilled meat are placed around it. "It's so fragrant." Moon Lord sat at the table, curiously looking at the red broth in the pot. "Hurry in for breakfast, you will study later." Ryu dragged Yu Fei-er into the hall. "Yes, but it's just a little bit better." Yu Fei-er was unwilling to be dragged away. She entered the hall, instantly met Mu Liang's black eyes, and immediately lowered her head shyly, and was cleverly pressed by the white-haired girl to sit down in a chair. Yue Feiyan followed the two into the hall, leaned to sit next to the Lord, and exclaimed, "Mother, there are so many plants here." "Sit down quickly," Mu Liang waved to Minuo and Liu. "Okay." The two girls looked at each other and chose to sit on the left and right sides of Mu Liang very tacitly. "Today, we welcome Moon Lord, Yue Feiyan and Yu Fei-er to join us in Black Tortoise City." Mu Liang picked up a bowl of tomato broth and said in a magnetic voice, "I hope you will have a great time in Black Tortoise." "Thank you," the Moon Lord responded gracefully and picked up the wooden bowl. "Thank you." Yue Feiyan learned everything and then picked up the wooden bowl, watching the welcome ceremony with great interest. Ryu stuffed Yu Fei-er a bowl of soup and reminded, "Bring up the soup." Oh, Yu Fei-er picked up the soup in a daze. She just heard that she had joined Black Tortoise City. Didn't she follow the research on the secret medicine? "How come I joined Black Tortoise City somehow?" "Everyone enjoy breakfast." Mu Liang reported to Yiluating and announced that he would start eating. "I've been hungry all night. I've already been hungry." Yue Feiyan didn't shy away and generously picked up the barbecue and ate it. Mino approached Mu Liang and gave the red-haired girl next to him timidly. He couldn't deal with it. "This soup tastes really good." After the month master reported the soup, he took a few more sips of soup in surprise. "I'll give it a try." Yue Feiyan swallowed the roasted meat in his mouth and drank the tomato broth. Her red eyes lit up and she squinted her eyes and praised, "It's sour and sweet, it's really delicious." "Look, they are complimenting the soup you cook is delicious." Mu Liang petted and looked at the timid girl with rabbit ears. "I cooked according to the method you taught." Minuo's face flushed and he was a little embarrassed. "You can rest for a while after breakfast. I didn't rest much last night." Mu Liang wants to let the earless girl rest more. After all, Japanese letter is 14 years old, and she won't be able to stand it if she doesn't rest too much. "Good." Mino nodded obediently. "Liu, take the mask off and eat it." Mu Liang turned to look at the white-haired girl. "No, I can eat like this." Liu glanced at the Moon Master and Yue Feiyan. She decided that it would be better not to take off the mask and did not want to cause too much trouble for Mu Liang. After all, Yuezhu, He Wei Jiang, and others knew about the existence of virtual ghosts and the harm of virtual ghosts. The white-haired girl didn't want to scare away the dozens of people who had just joined. "Okay," Mu Liang didn't try to force the white-haired girl. He turned to look at the blonde woman and said, "Yufel, it will be easier to eat with the piece of cloth on your head removed." "No," Yu Fei-er nervously covered his face. "Don't be nervous, you don't need to dismantle it." Mu Liang waved his hand warmly. Moon Lord and Yue Feiyan looked at Li Yue's mask curiously, especially wondering how the white-haired girl would eat. Awu tilde Liu glanced at the two of them, lifted a little mask, quickly put the barbecue into her mouth and closed the mask again. The Moon Lord and Yue Feiyan blinked and looked at each other, then both shook their heads. Mu Liang chewed on the barbecue and looked at the Moon Lord with interest. He didn't expect that this mature and elegant woman would also behave like a girl. Cough cough. The Moon Lord was uncomfortable being looked at. He turned his mind and quickly found the topic. "Your Excellency Mu Liang, you are the Lord of Black Tortoise City, right?" "Just call me Mu Liangs." Mu Liang first corrected his name and said calmly, "Yes, I am the City Lord of Black Tortoise." Then you call me Yue Qinlin, the Moon Lord still don't call me." Yue Qinlin doesn't want the title of Moon Lord anymore. Moon Lord represents sadness and the past. Using Yue Qinlin's real name means that she is about to start again. "Yue Qinlin, a nice name," Mu Liang warmly praised. "Thank you." Yue Kinlan's charming face quietly climbed up with a trace of blush. Yue Feiyan chewed her mouth and was surprised to see her mother just being praised by her name. She would be shy like a girl. Next second, Yue Feiyan screamed. She pouted aggrievedly, rubbing her mother's thigh with her small hands. Hey, my daughter, eat more meat. Yue Kinlan stuffed the barbecue into the red-haired girl's mouth. Yue Feiyan did not dare to refute, nor did she dare to look at it indiscriminately. Yue Kinlan finished teasing her daughter. She turned back to the topic and asked, Liang, we should be the first people to join Black Tortoise City, right? That's right, Liang glanced at Liu and Minuo. The girls joined before the establishment of Black Tortoise City. This is really beyond my expectation. Yue Kinlan didn't know how to comment. She thought of the loose invitation conditions last night and now she understands everything. You don't have to force yourself, Liang said softly. No, I didn't force myself. Yue Kinlan answered immediately. She might as well say that she is very satisfied. A newly established force can better integrate into the new life, can also play its own value and get a certain amount of freedom. Then you are welcome to join Black Tortoise City, Liang said heartily. It's my honor. Yue Qin's blue lips lifted slightly. She joined sincerely this time, not with the idea of observing. Yue Feiyan was a little dazed. Didn't she welcome it just now? Liang, can I ask about your goals after 5.5? Yue Kinlan wanted to determine the direction of future efforts. I need a lot of beast spar so that the little black tortoise can grow up quickly, and we will have more land. Liang talked about the direction of his current efforts. Do you need a lot of fierce beast spar? Yue Kinlan thought a little. She also understood that Liang would be obsessed with the fierce beast spar for some behavior last night. Do you have any advice? Liang needs the help of the forces to collect the beast stone and now just listens to the advice of his subordinates. Only Dasheng has a large number of beast spars. We need to go to Dasheng to trade. Yue Kinlan said softly. Which is the nearest big city? Liang turned to look at the white-haired girl. Liu frowned and thought about it and reported a city name, 10-floor city. Yue Kinlan opened her mouth and swallowed what she was about to say. She thinks of a bigger city. If you go there, maybe you will get even bigger gains. Is it far? Liang asked calmly. 9 heavens or so. Liu glanced at Yue Kinlan and said softly, there is a more prosperous big city. It used to take 23 days over there. No, just go to this 10th-floor city, Liang said lightly. Huh, Yue Kinlan was stunned. She squinted her aqua-blue eyes and looked at the masked girl. It turns out that you already understand this man's temperament. The destination is there, then what will be used to trade the fierce beast spar? Yue Kinlan remembered the 12 insights Liang had told her, and now she is learning and using it now. Xinghui tea is a kind and there are some cabbage. Liang thought that in the plantation, some cabbage could be harvested after the birth of Xinghui tea trees. Xinghui tea can't take too much to trade. It will attract some 7th-order powerhouses to stare at. Yue Kinlan reminded. She has drunk Xinghui tea. The refreshing effect is very obvious. Some 7th-order powerhouses like this kind of thing. As for the cabbage, it should be an edible green vegetable, Yue Kinlan asked softly. She has never heard of cabbage. Yes, a green vegetable with a good taste. Liang thought that in the future, Xinghui realm should be used to spur more seeds. As long as the land is large enough, vegetables can be grown on a large scale. What's more, the sweet potatoes he discovered can be used as food when he grows more. Ordinary people can't afford green vegetables, and only some people with strong capabilities will buy them. Yue Kinlan had no choice but to find that the two things they took out were both relatively low-yield and high-priced things. She worked hard to find the value of own and helped 16 to analyze. Only these two things are not enough. There is no way to earn a large amount of beast spar. After Yue Kinlan found out that she had left the identity of the Moon Lord, she was now very relaxed and her brain began to shine. In one sentence, it means that bystanders are clear. She reflected on her mistakes made by the Lord of the Month and used it to solve Liang, the Lord of the City. Indeed, Liang thought. The output of Xinghui tea and cabbage is limited, and there are not too many fierce beast spars. We need to find something that has a lot of output and everyone needs. Yue Kinlan sighed. She couldn't imagine such an item at all. Water, we can sell water, Yufire whispered. Yes, water can also be counted as a kind of cargo. Liang's black eyes lit up. With the existence of crystal fish, make more containers to store water at that time, and it can be used as a commodity to trade the beast spar. Anything else? Liang scanned Xiang Liu, Yue Feiyan, and Minuo. I can't think of it. Liu turned her head unnaturally. It's okay for her to kill, it's too difficult to think of such a thing. No, I can only think of some meat or something. Yue Feiyan shook his head. Nowadays, they will also be short of food, and it is even more unlikely that they will trade to others. Mino fumbled and lowered his head, not even thinking of anything good to trade. Seeing that everyone was silent, Yue Qinlan changed the subject softly. Mu Liang, you should get the rules of the Black Tortoise City out of the way. There is no rule without rules. At this time, she found the position of own, which is to assist Mu Liang to manage the Black Tortoise City and help with some less important things. Okay, I'll do this. Mu Liang rubbed his eyebrows. He found that when forming a force, there were too many things to be busy at the beginning. However, in order to have a steady stream of fierce beast spar income in the future, he can only spend more thoughts now. It's fine after the early stage. Yue Qinlan drank the broth elegantly. She was inexplicably happy at this time, looking at Mu Liang's distressed look. It was a bit like looking at herself before. You have to help think, Mu Liang said lightly. He looked at the elegant black-bellied woman, only to remember that he still couldn't recognize all the hieroglyphs. I wanted to find a teacher before, but now I have a ready-made teacher. Ah, me too, Yue Qinlan smiled. Yes, you still have to teach me to read. Mu Liang nodded calmly. He doesn't know much about the customs of this world. Some rules must be in line with this era, otherwise problems will occur if they are too advanced. Are you illiterate? Yue Qinlan blinked her blue eyes in surprise. It's been useless for too long, I forgot most of it. Mu Liang lied without changing his face. The corner of Liu's eyes trembled. How did she find that this sentence was a bit familiar? Mu Liang felt something and blinked at the white-haired girl. He smiled and said, Liu, you have to learn too. Me too, Liu took a long time to react. Yes, everyone must be literate. Mu Liang wants an educated management, not a group of illiterate people. His future policies, regulations, and so on need people to publicize and implement them. And all this requires a literate person. You can't implement a policy and regulation, and you have to explain it face to face one by one. Mu Liang, do I want to read too? Mino asked blankly with his rabbit ears erected. Yeah, you can't go wrong with learning more. Mu Liang rubbed the earless girl's head. He wants to train Mino so that he can help with some affairs in the future. Don't look at the dozens of people in Black Tortoise. Once the rock tortoise evolves, its size will expand dozens of times, and its population will also increase dozens of times. Black Tortoise will truly be a big city by then. And by that time, there will definitely be more things to be busy. Mu Liang started to reserve talents in advance to make himself a little easier in the future. Yes, all he has prepared now is just to be lazy in the future. Okay, I'll learn, Mino said seriously. I don't need it anymore, I know all the words. Yue Feiyan raised her hand weakly. She didn't want to be taught literacy by her mother anymore. It was too painful to be scolded by fools all the time. Okay, you don't have to learn. Mu Liang smiled and said, give me iron making. Iron making? Yue Feiyan blinked her red eyes blankly. Yes, you have to practice your awakening ability a bit more and train iron by the way. Mu Liang had long wanted to melt some of the collected swords and make some practical things. For example, a big wok. The population is increasing, so you can't have barbecue and broth every day. Okay, Yue Feiyan thought for a while and found it reasonable. As for Yufer, please help me study the secret medicine. Mu Liang peeked at his blonde woman and said, I will get you a research room specifically for you. Okay, Yu Fei nodded obediently. How do you plan to arrange Wei Zheng and the others? It's impossible to raise these people in vain. Yue Qinlan asked curiously, 33. Definitely not raising them in vain. Mu Liang realized that he might have to go back to his old career, and some training for the special forces should be done. The wall of the rock tortoise needs people to be stationed and patrolled, and it is also the seed for military expansion in the future. You just have to know in your heart, don't pay too much attention to my thoughts, and do what you think. Yue Qinlan didn't want to cause these people not to listen to Mu Liang's words, because the hunting team came with her. That would definitely not work. In such a situation, she would personally take action to drive people away. Who is the master of the house? This must be distinguished from the priority. After Yue Qinlan especially experienced Big Elder's betrayal, he even more did not want this scene to happen to Mu Liang. Don't worry, I'm not as easy to talk as you think. Mu Liang's mouth twitched slightly. He killed a lot of people, and he won't be soft when he really needs to do something. It can be seen. Yue Qinlan and Mu Liang looked at each other. Some murderous look in eyes could not be concealed. She silently looked away and said softly, we can also organize manpower to hunt so that we can eat enough meat. That's okay, I will let Xiao Kai and Xiao Hong help hunting together. Mu Liang remembered that ghost-faced spiders should also evolve. Spider silk is so practical. Moreover, he hasn't domesticated new domesticated beasts for a long time. This time I went to Shilu City just to find some special animals and plants to domesticate. In the afternoon, around 3 o'clock, Wei Jiang's new house has 3 bedrooms, 1 living room, 1 kitchen, and 1 bathroom. He was very satisfied with this house, although it was a bit smaller than the house in the Yuetan tribe, and there was no yard, but it was clean and beautiful. At this time, Wei Jiang was cutting wood with a knife, preparing to make the bed. Husband, I'm going to take Xiaolan to the high ground to serve the Moon Lord. Sire brought her daughter to Wei Jiang. Huh? Wei Jiang was stunned and glanced at his well-behaved and sensible little daughter. He frowned and said, Xiaolan is only 13 years old. Will it be too young to be a maid? 13 is no longer young. I was selected to be a maid when I was 12. Sire raised his hand and touched Wei Yulan's head and whispered, moreover, she didn't want her to serve others right away, but she just asked her to learn something from me. Why does she have to bring her daughter to teach for a year or two before she dares to let her serve the Moon Lord or Miss? But Wei Jiang was still a little bit reluctant to let go of his little daughter. But what? We are not in the Moon Lake tribe now, we are in Black Tortoise City now. Sar preached with a serious expression. The only person we can rely on is the Lord of the Moon. Send my daughter to the maid of the Lord of the Moon. I will have new bonds when I grow old. Then go back tomorrow and take a day off today. Wei Jiang was persuaded, but wanted to let his little daughter stay at home for one more day. No, I don't worry about Moon Lord. Sire shook his head and sighed. The Moon Lord is injured, but no one is here to serve now. Aren't there some girls here? Wei Jiang thought of the girls who were following Liang. Wei Jiang, are you stupid by the beast? Sire thrust one hand on her waist and said in an angry voice, the identities of the girls are different. The people they want to serve are only the city lord of Black Tortoise. Why don't you understand? I understand. Wei Jiang frowned and nodded. No, you don't understand at all. Seeing her husband's appearance, Sire explained in a soft voice, the most important thing is that they are not maids. You can't underestimate their identities, otherwise there will be big problems. She doesn't want her honest husband to offend people in the future. How can people who can live on the high ground be simple? At least they are the core personnel of Black Tortoise City. Understood. Wei Jiang nodded suddenly. Moreover, even if they are really allowed to serve, I don't feel relieved. Sar shook his head and then urged, don't stay at home and make these things. Hurry up and take the hunting team to find the city lord so that you can arrange things for you. But the bed hasn't been set up yet. Wei Jiang looked down at the wooden planks of Xuanwu. No matter how you do it at night, you should now actively do the big things that men should do. Sar took her dazed daughter out of the house. Okay, Wei Jiang put down the wooden board in his hand. Your father is such an idiot, let me be a woman to enlighten him. Sar complained to Wei Yulan. She taught experience. If you are a maid next to the Moon Master in the future, you must keep your eyes sharp, your mouth tighter, and your mind brighter. Got it? Wei Yulan nodded dumbfounded. It doesn't matter if you don't understand now, you will really understand later. Sar didn't ask her daughter to understand immediately. She had a secret in her heart, so she could teach it a little bit. As she walked, she whispered, no place to raise idlers, you must find something to do, even if it is a meaningless thing. Understood. Seeing her mother's serious expression, Wei Yulan nodded obediently. After you go up, don't run around. Sar raised his head and glanced at the high ground stone stairs. Okay, Wei Yulan answered obediently. Sar took Wei Yulan up the steps and quickly reached the high ground. The two saw a white-haired girl with a mask holding a bow and arrow. This miss, we are here to find the Moon Lord, Sire said calmly. Wei Yulan glanced at her mother Wei Yian's fingers and knew that she was also very nervous. Go over there, the house on the left. Liu stared at the two for a while and pointed to the house behind. She said coldly, don't walk around, it will happen. Yes, Sire nodded respectfully. She took Wei Yulan to the house on the left. Sire remembered Wei Jiang's words and shook his head and sighed. How could such a girl serve people and kill them? She whispered to her daughter, if you stay here in the future, don't be jealous with others, remember your own identity. I won't, Wei Yulan shook her head weakly. You are too weak. Sire looked at her daughter's delicate and tender face and touched her head dozingly. Wei Yulan blushed and lowered her head. Here, don't talk later, Sire exhorted again. She came to the door and whispered to the inside. Moon Lord, I am Sire, come in. A lazy and soft voice came from the room. Sire asked Wei Yulan to follow behind and enter the room. She saw the Moon Lord leaning on the head of the bed, writing something with animal skins and charcoal in her hand. Moon Lord, you are injured, you should rest more. Sire hurried forward, inspecting the wound and persuaded. Lying down is also idle, there is nothing wrong with doing something. Yue Qinlan held up the animal skin and asked Sire to check the wound. She turned her head to look at the delicate girl standing next to her and asked curiously, Sire, is this your daughter? Yes, I'm taking her to teach her identity and let her serve the Moon Lord in the future. Sire whispered. Don't call me Moon Lord from now on, I am no longer the leader of the Moon Lake tribe. Yue Kinlan shook her head and said gracefully, "Besides, I don't need anyone to serve. You should take her to the city lord of Black Tortoise. She recognizes the position of own and pays attention to some details. Maid, she should not decide. After all, she did not have the authority to get Mu Liang's approval." "Of lies, Yue, miss, but your injury is still not healed," Sir said anxiously. "Sir, you have to be clear, I am not the leader of Black Tortoise." Yue Kinlan's voice reminded me. "The city lord has no one to serve, how can you let me enjoy being served?" This is the reason and why she really refused. As the lord of a city, no one serves her. If she doesn't know her number, she will be served by others. It will be a blow to Mu Liang's fame if she is spread out. It can also create barriers. I understand." Sar hesitated and nodded helplessly. "Go, don't worry about me, I have a face here." Yue Kinlan waved his hand. "Yes." Sar glanced at Miss, who was sleeping beside the bed, and she was worried just like this. She took Wei Yulan out of the room and walked to the middle house. Oh. These are the formulas of the secret medicine for strengthening the human body. Look at what materials are still missing. Mu Liang handed the animal skin to Yu Fire. He needs a lot of strengthening secret medicine to train a team of real elites to help out. Some inquiries about news, etc., need to be handled by someone. It's actually a strengthening secret medicine from Tier 1 to Tier 5. Yu Feier's golden eyes gleamed, and he quickly turned to look at the material recorded on the animal skin. "Look slowly, let me know when you are missing." Mu Liang got up and prepared to leave. This house is a research institute built by his ability, and it also serves as Yu Feier's residence. Mu Liang originally wanted her to live with a white-haired girl, but the blonde woman thought it would be nice to live in a research institute. He just made an extra cubicle next to it as Yuful's bedroom. Okay, Yu Feier didn't look up, her golden eyes obsessed with the formula of the strengthening secret medicine. She wants to find some formulas that can be integrated with angel tears to study new ideas for the treatment of virtual ghost infection secret medicine. Also, that drop of angel's tears, I need to heal Yue Kinlan. Mu Liang walked to the door, turned around and said, "I will give you another drop in 2 days." Yu Feier was stunned, raised her head in doubt and asked, "It takes 10 days to condense a drop off angel tears. I can also condense the tears of angels 50. Mu Liang smiled. He condensed a drop of angel tears to Liu last time, and the cooling time was only 2 days away. "Ah, you can also condense the angel tears." Yu Feier's golden eyes widened in shock. She looked at Mu Liang fiercely with an urge to study it carefully. "Look at it slowly, I'm leaving first." Mu Liang was staring at him with fury, waved his hand and left. "Oh, it seems to scare people away." Yu Feier blinked naturally. Her pretty face flushed, pulled the piece of cloth on her cheek, lowered her head and studied the formula for strengthening the secret medicine. Mu Liang left the institute and walked to the central house. He needs a container to hold angel tears so that it can be sent to Yue Kinlan. You can't always let people lie down in the office with injuries because this is too inefficient. Angel wings should also evolve. I don't know if I can get the ability to heal Thevide Ghost's infection. Mu Liang is considering the future development of Black Tortoise City. All kinds of things are scarce now. To domesticate beasts needs to evolve and people need food. When he reached the door of the house, he saw a middle-aged woman with a young girl standing at the door waiting. "Are you?" Mu Liang looked at the two in confusion. "BGFF Lord City Lord, my name is Sar. I am Wei Zheng's wife and maid before the Moon Lord." Sar heard the voice and quickly turned to introduce herself respectfully. "She is my daughter and her name is Wei Yulan." When she took her daughter to look for Mu Liang, she heard that the Lord was not in the house, so she stood at the door and waited. "Let's talk about it in advance." Mu Liang entered the house. When he entered the hall, he saw 2 people coming in nervously with the girl with rabbit ears. "Wake up, go find something to eat when you are hungry." Mu Liang saw that the earless girl still had a trace of sleepiness in her eyes. "Not hungry?" Mino shook his head lightly. Mu Liang grabbed the girl's rabbit ears and pulled over the chair in the hall to sit down. He turned his head to look at the 2 Sar and said lightly, "Is there anything wrong with you?" Sar didn't sell anything miserably and said bluntly, "That's how the Moon Lord asked us to serve you." "Serve me?" Mu Liang was stunned. Does he need someone to serve? It doesn't seem to be necessary for the time being. 2 girls with rabbit ears and white hair are in charge of breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The clothes and home hygiene are all made by Mino. Although it will make a mess, it is working hard to improve it. Yes, Lord City Lord will become more and more busy in the future, and the trivial things at home need to be cleaned up, Sire respectfully said. I can, Mino said nervously. Her work was about to be robbed and she felt a sense of crisis. "This miss, you don't need to do some chores," Sire said softly. "Yes, but Minuo hesitated and looked to Mu Liang pitifully for help. She is happy to help Mu Liang clean up the room, wash the clothes, and make a delicious tomato broth. Okay, do it if you want, Mu Liang said indulgingly. He can also think of life in the future. If there is no one to take care of it, it will definitely become more and more messy. Yeah. I will do it seriously. Mino jumped up happily. Don't do everything by yourself. Don't forget that you have to train and learn words. Mu Liang temporarily let the earless girls transition, that is, to accumulate experience. In the future, there will be more and more maids and servants, and they can just give the Mino tube, which corresponds to the position he gave to the rabbit-eared girl at the beginning. Lord City Lord, do you need our support? Sir didn't fight for any dominant position. She is very sober and knows that as long as she assists the rabbit ear miss, she can also integrate into the new life and find a new background shelter. Minuo still has a lot to understand, so you can teach her more. Mu Liang did not refuse. This just saves the girl a teacher who learns how to manage housework. Yes. Sir breathed a sigh of relief. Her own job was saved. Minuo, if you don't understand anything, just ask Sir. Mu Liang turned his head and said to the timid rabbit-eared girl, you mainly learn how to arrange things. I see. Mino nodded obediently. As for your daughter will follow minor from now on. Mu Liang took a look at the delicate girl behind Sir. He thinks it would be good to find Mino a small follower who can be used as a right-hand man in the future. Yes, Sir feels more at ease and her daughter's future work has also been lost. Minuo, I'll leave it to you here. Mu Liang patted the girl's arm, ready to find a container of angel's tears. Mino didn't know how to face Sir alone. She suddenly grabbed Mu Liang's arm nervously, looking at a loss, desperately wanting people to hug her and comfort her. Mu Liang was a little helpless, turned his head and said to the two of Sire, if possible, help her overcome her timid character as much as possible. Understand, Sire nodded thoughtfully. Seeing the girl with rabbit ears, she wisely said goodbye. My little girl and I will leave you alone, and we will officially come back to work tomorrow. Yes, Mu Liang nodded calmly. Sire and Wei Yulan bowed respectfully and left after saluting. You don't have to force yourself. Mu Liang looked at the rabbit-eared girl who was relaxed. Don't force me, I think it's very interesting to pack things. Mino said full of energy. She thinks that she can only do this. The strength is not as good as the white-haired girl and the red-haired girl. His head is not as smart as that old woman. If even some of the housework is taken away, what else can she do? This is absolutely not allowed by Mino. You like it, but you have to do what you can. Mu Liang looked at the two girls without rabbit ears who looked like just now and suddenly felt that this was also good. I will. Mino nodded obediently. Okay, I have to go to the plantation. Mu Liang calmed down the girl. He found the iron lunchbox as a container ready to evolve the angel wings. Go. Mino didn't cling to Mu Liang. She is going to put the things she moved back into the warehouse last night. Mu Liang was holding the iron lunchbox, and he saw Liu practicing arrows after he got out of the house. After the white-haired girl shot the arrow into the sky, she shot another arrow, and the back arrow hit the end of the front arrow. The arrow lost its strength, began to fall, and disappeared after a while. The rock tortoise is advancing, and the wind blows away. The arrow will not fall on the spot. There are no more arrows. Liu put down her longbow and looked helplessly at the empty quiver. Find a fixed target and shoot. This will save a bit of arrows. Mu Liang chuckled lightly. It's not good to practice arrows this way. Liu made a move and shook her head again. Moving fixed target, I can let Xiaohong practice with you. As a special soldier, Mu Liang also knows a little about bow and arrow principles. Not for the time being. When Liu opened my mouth, I realized that some words would suddenly get stuck in my throat. What are you waiting for? Mu Liang's black pupils squinted, staring at the silver-white eyes in the hole in the girl's mask. He saw the white-haired girl lower her head and avoid her eyes. Mu Liang understood what and asked Wen Sheng, are you planning to leave? Yeah, Liu nodded lightly. Are you coming back? Mu Liang asked softly. Of course come back. Liu suddenly raised her head and explained in a panic. I will come back, not that I will not come back if I leave. Oh, what are you doing like this? Mu Liang felt amused inexplicably. It wasn't a long separation. The white-haired girl made it seem like she was gone. I am Liu Kaio flushed, a little embarrassed to continue. I'm not willing to go, Mu Liang continued softly. Yeah, Liu nodded shyly. Can you tell me what to do? Mu Liang could vaguely guess something. I want to meet two other companions. Liu pursed her pink lips and said clearly, I want to tell them about the angel wings and Yu Feier's current situation. Then she thought of something. For fear of Mu Liang's misunderstanding, she quickly promised, of course, I will not disclose the little black tortoise. Is the place where you meet far? Mu Liang waved his hand to indicate not to be nervous and said softly, I will let the little black tortoise give you a ride. Not far, about 5 days, Liu smiled. She pointed to the side of the rock tortoise and said softly, "No need to send it. We agreed to meet at a big tribe in that direction, not from the same direction as Shilu City. Don't worry, in 10 days I will rush to Shilu City to meet you." Seeing Mu Liang's concern, Liu pursed her lips and said softly, "I have been running outside for several years and nothing will happen." Mu Liang thought for a while but didn't stop it and asked, "Then when are you leaving?" "Leave tomorrow morning," Liu said in a low voice. She had planned to leave at noon, but she reluctantly decided to stay for another night. Tell her companions about the angel wings earlier so that she can live in peace of mind as soon as possible. "Understood, accompany me to take a look at angel wings." Mu Liang walked to the plantation. "Good," Liu quietly followed behind. The two did not speak all the way and came to the other side of Xinghui tea tree where many precious medicinal herbs were planted. Xinghui tea tree is divided into 3 areas. The largest area is the accommodation area. The last remaining side is the pool where the crystal fish is. The growth is getting better and better. Liu squatted in front of angel wings. She looked at the white wing petals of the flower, and there was a drop of emerald green water in the core of the flower. "This drop of angel tears, I am going to heal Yue Kinlin." Mu Liang decided to talk about it. After all, it was originally intended to be traded to a white-haired girl. "It's okay, now there is nothing to store, and if you take it for use, you can condense a drop sooner." Ryu stood up understandingly and stepped aside. Mu Liang put the angel's tears on the flowers into the iron lunchbox and quickly closed the lid. He touched the flower with his hand and said, "I will use my ability to evolve angel wings to see if I can strengthen the effect of angel tears." "Will it affect you?" Liu asked worriedly. She always feels that such heaven-defying ability will cause some damage to the human body. "It's fine." Mu Liang shook his head and sighed. "It just consumes more fierce beast spar." Ferocious beast spar. Liu pursed her pink lips, keeping this in mind and getting a little more fierce beast spar when she has the opportunity. System evolve angel wings to level 5. Mu Liang commanded in his mind. Ding, evolve from level 1 to level 5, deduct 11,110 evolution points. Ding. Level 5 angel wings evolved successfully. Ding, Tears of Angels is being improved, being adapted, and the inheritance is complete. After Mu Liang received the enhancement, he opened the system and checked the attributes. Trainer. Mu Liang, for flowers, stamina 129.3, speed 123.6, strength 125.7, spirit 140, lifespan 24 years/2950 years, taming points 70, evolution point 20,168, ability realm level 6 angel tears level 5. Hide, domesticated beasts. Hidden. Domestication star tea tree talent, star realm level 6. Angel wing talent, angel tears level 5. I'm poor again, there are only 20,000 fierce beast spars left, and only enough to evolve one 5th level domesticated beast. After Mu Liang read the attribute panel, he felt a burst of emptiness in his heart. "It's so beautiful." Liu looked at the shining white light of the angel wings. Point 0. Angel wings then, in the shocked gaze of the white-haired girl. A pair of white petal wings split into 2.5 pairs of wings. Moreover, the flower branch grew 4 flower buds again, blooming visible to the naked eye, and one of the flowers had 2 pairs of wings. 5 angel wings. Liu took off her mask. She rubbed her eyes and looked at the 5 angel wings fluttering in the wind in disbelief. Evolve a pair of wings every 2 levels. Mu Liang looked at the 5 angel wings in surprise. He looked at the number of 2.5 pairs of wings in the main branch angel wings, and one of them was half-length wings. Every first-level evolution, 1 angel wing grows, and one of them is the 4th-level angel wing. Mu Liang closed his eyes, feeling the feedback from the flowers, and felt that he was evolving too late. He opened his eyes and said softly, "The rest are 1, 2, and 1/3 level angel wing, 5 angel wings including all levels from 1 to the 5th level. I don't know if it will result." Mu Liang stared at the 5 angel wings. If there are fruits, it means there are seeds. He lowered his head again, stared at the roots of the flowers, and muttered to himself, "Or can you plant them separately? If angel wings can be grown on a large scale, it can be used as a short version of panacea. If you have a small cold or a fever, a drop of first-level angel tears can be done." "Mu Liang, what are you doing?" Liu sideways saw Mu Liang staring at the roots off angel wings, as if she wanted to dig it out. "It's okay." Mu Liang waved his hand. Shan ran. He decided not to move the angel wings for the time being. When there was only one plant, it would be troublesome to kill the flower. "Try angel tears again and see how it works this time." Mu Liang raised his hand and stroked the scarlet lines on the girl's cheek. "Yeah." Liu stiffened, her pretty face flushed, her silver-white eyes erratic and shy. Start the angel's tears. Liang stretched out his finger, the fingertips condensed green light spots, and a little green crystal liquid was condensing. He stretched the angel tears from his fingers to the pink lips of the white-haired girl. Liu Kaio's face flushed even more, and after hesitating for a while she opened her mouth slightly to catch the faltering angel's tears with her fingers shaking. It's soft and a bit cool. Liang retracted his finger and looked at the white-haired girl's quietly closed eyes. The scarlet line on the right cheek shone with red light. After a while, the scarlet lines went silent again, and the red became lighter. The fifth level angel tears is still not good. Liang frowned helplessly and found that this virtual ghost infection was more terrifying and troublesome than expected. Isn't 050 okay? Liu opened her eyes, and a trace of loss flashed across her silver-white eyes. As long as the angel wings continue to evolve, it will certainly be able to cure the virtual ghost infection. Liang calmed down with a warm voice. Well, I believe it. Liu showed a sweet smile. She found that her body was better than ever, as if she was unloading 100 caddies. The heat in her heart had completely disappeared. Zhugui's infection asterisk seems to fall asleep. How long can a drop of angel tears last? Liang had heard from a young girl before that the tears of angels can contain the time of the erosion of the virtual ghost infection. Perhaps. Liu squinted her eyes for a while, showing a happy smile. It can last for about a year and a half. 1.5 years, that is. The effect of the medicine has doubled 5 times. Liang nodded silently, knowing the effect of the 5th level angel's tears. Liang, now how many days can angel's tears condense a drop? Liu's eyes exuded the love for angel's wings. With so many angel wings flowers, it can be regarded as an alternative cure for void ghost infection. 5 days can condense a drop of angel tears. After receiving the feedback of ability, Liang judged a time. 5 drops of angel tears can be condensed in 5 days, which is really great. Liu hugged Liang excitedly, just like a child got the gift she had been thinking about for a long time. After 3 seconds, the white-haired girl reacted. Wow, Liu was shy and at a loss, quickly let go of Liang and back off. You can also give me another hug. Liang opened his hands and teased the girl. Just don't hug you. Liu turned sideways shyly, rubbing the mask in her hands. Angel's tears are too many and there is no container. Liang looked at the iron lunchbox in his hand, and it was fine to put it once temporarily, but the medicine would lose its effect after a long time. Yes. Liu's red and pretty face also showed a trace of distress. Sometimes having too much is also an annoyance. There are still 5 days. I will think of a way. Liang felt that it was impossible, so he tried to burn some glass and ceramics as containers. He felt that he should try to make some life products, otherwise compare the life of the earth, and he feels that he is living like a savage. I will also think of a way, Liu said helplessly. Let's go send this drop of angel tears to Yuikinlin. Liang shook the iron lunchbox in his hand. She'll have to flush the water to drink it later. Liu glanced at the iron lunchbox. Our family is so poor, we really didn't find a container with a lid. Liang sighed and didn't even have a formal container. Poor? Liu's mouth twitched. Looking at Liang's sigh, she had an inexplicable urge to hit someone. She looked at the green plants around, and the large plants in front of her were richer than some big cities. The two were talking as they walked. After leaving the plantation, the two saw Wei Zheng standing in the open space in front of the house. What? The white-haired girl quickly put on the mask, and the whole process took less than a second. Wei Zheng heard footsteps and turned his head to see the arrival of Liang. He respectfully shouted, "My lord, city lord." Has the house been allocated? Liang asked lightly, handing the iron lunchbox to the girl. Liu knew what he meant and took the iron lunchbox and sent it to Yuikinlin. It's all assigned. Everyone likes the new home. Wei Zheng grinned. More than just like it. Everyone thinks it is better than the house of Yuetan tribe. Wei hesitated for a moment and then said, "It's just that everyone doesn't bring a lot of food. I hope I can go hunting on the ground." This is after Wei Zheng followed his wife's advice and visited the homes of the team members. He collected various situations and picked the most serious one. They are lucky enough to be taken in by black tortoise, not to mention there is a well with a steady stream of water. If the lord of the city is allowed to bring out food, they will have no face to live. When hunting, I happen to have this idea. Liang also plans to take the domesticated beasts to hunt. By the way, see if he can conquer 1 or 2 new domesticated beasts. Moreover, eating fresh meat is always more delicious than eating dried roasted meat. My lord, do you want to go hunting too? Wei Zheng's expression was stunned. He originally intended them to go hunting and then hand over the prey to Lord City Lord, which is equivalent to the same pattern as in the Moon Lake tribe. Yes, by the way, get some wood back for firewood. Mu Liang nodded lightly. He felt that a currency system should be built. Hire residents to help with work, pay them wages, and then let them buy the collected materials so that a circular system can be formed. Among them, the most important thing is that people who go out to collect supplies have to have another treatment or reward. It is impossible to give freely. Mu Liang will not raise some rice worms. It does need a lot of wood. Wei Zheng nodded in agreement. Wood is needed to make furniture, tableware, and fire. If it's okay in the Yuetan tribe, some labor unions will bring the wood back to change water and food. You go to convene people, and when we find a suitable hunting spot, we will immediately set out to hunt. Mu Liang felt it was better sooner than later. As for the idea of a currency system, he can only temporarily press it down. There are too many problems in implementation, and Mu Liang does not have much work on hand to do for the residents. Therefore, for the time being, we can only start with the hunting team. Yes, Wei Zheng respectfully bowed. With an expression of excitement, he turned and trod away from the high ground. Little black tortoise, stop at a place with lots of dead woods. Mu Liang conveyed the order to the rock tortoise with mind and thought. Oh Ming tilde tilde. The rock tortoise uttered a low cry, after half an hour. In the hall of the house, except for Yufir, who is obsessed with research, the other 4 women gathered here. I will take a group of people to hunt today. Mu Liang felt that he should tell a few women that leaving quietly would only make people worry. I'll go with you, Liu said first. No, you are leaving tomorrow. It's better to take a break today. Mu Liang smiled and refused. Huh. Liu is leaving tomorrow. Mino reacted and looked at the white-haired girl in surprise. Well, there are some important things that need to be done, Rui Yue said softly. When will you be back? Mino asked quickly. She is not shy about the white-haired girl now. I will meet you at the 10th floor city, Liu said softly. Then I won't see you for many days. Mino said a little disappointed. Liu was silent and reached out and shook the earless girl's little hand. Liu, you stay home tonight and prepare more equipment. Mu Liang hasn't forgotten that not long ago, the white-haired girl had run out of arrows. Okay, Liu nodded helplessly. I won't go. Black Tortoise needs someone to sit down, Yue Qinlan said softly. Although she drank Angel's tears, the wound was not completely healed. It just changed from a medium wound to a small wound. It will take several days for the wound to heal completely. Yes, Mu Liang felt that it made sense to prevent someone from being stolen. I want to go too. Yue Feiyan raised her small hand cautiously. Out of the corner of her eye, she looked worriedly at the elegant figure nearby, for fear that her mother would not want her to hunt. You can follow, but you have to listen to Mu Liang. Yue Qinlan did not stop the red-haired girl. Mu Liang, who was not weaker than her, followed. She really had nothing to worry about. Yue Qinlan touched her belly. Her aqua-blue eyes met Mu Liang's eyes. A blush spread in her ears, and she subconsciously shifted her gaze away. 5.5. Okay, I must listen to Mu Liang's words. Yue Feiyan agreed with excitement. This was the first time she went hunting. She used to stay near Yuetan tribe and roast small bugs. Okay, then take you there. Mu Liang nodded lightly. Mino sat next to him obediently and didn't say anything. Her blue eyes flashed with only worry and anxiety. You have to believe in his strength. Liu shook the little hand of the girl with rabbit ears firmly. She will not worry too much about Mu Liang's safety now. It's not that I don't care anymore, but I know that Mu Liang is much stronger than her. I worry too much and think too much. Mino nodded hesitantly. Oh Ming tilde tilde. There was a whisper from the rock tortoise, reminding the hunting site to be found. The hunting spot has been found, now we are going to hunt. Mu Liang got up and walked towards the gate. Be careful, Mino couldn't help but yelled crisply. Don't worry, I will come home full of prey. Mu Liang turned his head and smiled, waved his hand and went out. Wait for me, Yue Feiyan trot to catch up. Mu Liang took Yue Feiyan to the street below the high ground. On the wide street, Wei Zheng and 16 hunting team members were already waiting. My lord city lord, Wei Zheng shouted respectfully. Sir, 16 hunting team members shouted together. Let's go. Mu Liang didn't talk nonsense and took them away from the rock tortoise and came to the ground. At this time, the sky was already a bit dim. Mu Liang pulled open his sleeves and checked the time of his wristwatch around 4:30 in the afternoon. What is this? Yue Feiyan probed curiously, her red eyes staring straight. She saw a very delicate disc, shiny, and the small needles in it were still moving. It depends on the time. Mu Liang lowered his sleeves. Watches are among the top few things brought from the earth. Look at the time, Yue Feiyan blinked blankly and looked up at the sky. Don't you know the time just by looking at the sky? Let's go, we try to come back as soon as possible. Mu Liang didn't want to stay until midnight before coming back. The night in the wilderness is very cold. The rock tortoise stays at a certain distance from the dry woods, otherwise the size and breadth of the rock tortoise will scare away some fierce beasts if they are too close. Mu Liang took the lead and walked ahead. In the distance is a wilderness and hills with a large area of dry trees. 16 Lord City Lord, we are going to enter from the dry woods over there to find prey. Wei Zheng came up to ask for instructions. It is too difficult to find a prey in the wilderness of the wasteland. If everyone does not spread out to find it, it will be difficult to find a fierce beast. Go, Mu Liang waved his hand. He is also out hunting for the first time, intending to observe other people's hunting methods. Moreover, Mu Liang has already let the red ghost spiders and tricolor lizards enter the dry woods in advance. According to the previous distribution, be careful, Wei Zheng exhorted the players. Yes. The hunting team members were dispersed in a team of 4. Wei Zheng followed Mu Liang with 4 people. As long as the city owner was in danger, he would lead the team to support. Let's go in 2. Mu Liang took the red-haired girl into the dry woods. Nay tilde tilde. The dry trees were blown by the wind with a weird whistling sound. Yue Feiyan shrank her neck in fright and ran to Mu Liang's side. She wanted to pull the corner of Mu Liang's clothes several times, but she was a little embarrassed. Yue Feiyan decided to break the silence and find something to say. Mu Liang, why do you think the trees here are dead? I don't know either, Mu Liang shook his head. He was also thinking about this question along the way. Why is there such a large area of trees dying? If the whole world is like this, what about the oxygen problem? Major disaster or man-made? Yue Feiyan has a girl's innocent tone. If the trees here are like the trees in Black Tortoise, it would be great. We will create a forest in Black Tortoise City. Mu Liang also thought that there was a forest, and it would be pleasing to watch. I guess it will take a long time. Yue Feiyan frowned her red eyebrows and touched her pretty face a little worried. She hoped that before she died, she could still see the woods that Mu Liang said. Don't think too much, hurry up and find prey. Mu Liang watched the movements of the red-haired girl and knew what she was thinking without guessing. As for how long it takes to build a forest, as long as the fierce beast spar is enough, it is not a matter of 1 or 2 years. Oh, Yue Feiyan flattened her mouth. She found the topic to be bold but was immediately ended by Mu Liang. Looking for prey in the dead woods is very boring, everything looks so monotonous, only the weird sway of dead trees is accompanied. The sky was getting darker and darker until the light on the horizon disappeared. I still haven't found a prey. A flash of fire rose from Yue Feiyan's palm, illuminating the surroundings. It's normal if there are few prey. Mu Liang contacted the 2 domesticated beasts, Xiaoheng and Xiaoaka, and there was no trace of prey either. Ah, why do you say that? Yue Feiyan finally found the topic, but she wouldn't want to end it like this. The problem of the food chain, Mu Liang said lightly. Both carnivores and herbivores are part of the food chain. A problem with one ring means that the other ring will have a big problem. Without plants, without herbivores, there will be fewer carnivores. The only thing that can survive tenaciously is some insects and small animals, or there are some evolutionary strange creatures. I don't understand. Yue Feiyan shook his head blankly. I will have the opportunity to tell you in the future, but keep quiet now. Mu Liang put his index finger on his lips, indicating that there is a situation. Yue Feiyan nodded suddenly and the flame on his palm rose slightly. Mu Liang squinted his eyes, his ears moved slightly, maximizing his senses. From just now, he felt that something was wrong, something lurking around peeping at the 2 of them. Mu Liang also summoned the red ghost spider and the tricolor lizard nearby, preparing to encircle it to see what the lurking creature was. Guru tilde tilde Yue Feiyan was so nervous that she secreted her mouth water crazily and then couldn't help swallowing. Taste a tilde tilde. A subtle sound. Careful. Mu Liang's expression suddenly changed, his hands wrapped around the red-haired girl's slender waist, his legs suddenly kicked, and he jumped more than 5 meters high. Boom tilde tilde. Where they stood, the ground suddenly bulged. A behemoth drilled out with earth and rocks with a 4-petal mouth wide open, and whip-like thorns fluttered with their tongues. It turned out to be underground. In the air, Mu Liang still had time to take a look at the beast that attacked them. He embraced the stunned red-haired girl and squirted a spider silk out of his hand, sticking to a dead tree not far away. With another kick, the 2 of them were ejected and stood on the dead branches. 9 Festival Demon Insect. Yue Feiyan reacted and cried out aloud. She hugged Mu Liang's waist tightly with her hands. Her red eyes were full of horror and fear, staring at the weird worm who was still twisting her body in search of prey. 9-section monster. Mu Liang looked at the monster carefully. He did find that the worm's body had round joints, just like joints made up of tires. Jiuji Demon Insect is an intermediate and low-level beast. Yue Feiyan knew the appearance of Jiuji Demon from the hunting team. She used to ask some hunting team members to tell her the appearance and habits of beasts, just to one day be able to participate in hunting. Oh, middle-level and lower-level beasts. Mu Liang's eyes lit up. Even if it is not domesticated, a middle-level and inferior fierce beast spar can transform 1,000 evolution points. Horse tilde tilde. The tongue of the Gyuji devil shook a few times in the air, detecting that the prey was some distance away, and preparing to return to the ground to lurk again. Want to run? That won't work. Liang let go of the red-haired girl and found that his waist was still being held by Yue Feiyan. He patted the girl's hand and whispered, "You are ready, I will catch it." Okay, Yue Feiyan's pretty face flushed, and she cleverly let go of her hand, holding the dead tree trunk with her hands. Azwoosh. More than a dozen spider silks flew out, entwining the body of the Gyuji devil, and the other end was glued to the surrounding tree trunks. Horse tilde tilde. The 9-section demon insect exposed its 3-meter-long body on the ground, struggling violently, pulling the spider silk straight, and the dead tree trunk made a cracking sound. Really powerful. Liang jumped to the ground and looked at the 9 demon insects from close range. He found that the Gyuji devil's appearance was very ugly, and it also exuded a strange smell, and he hesitated whether to tame it. After all, every additional domesticated beast will consume some evolution points, especially large domesticated beasts, which need to be fed with evolution points every day. The rock tortoise now consumes 60 evolution points every day to be enough for its actions. Another point is that the cooperation and growth of domesticated beasts are all related to Liang's future plans. Liang, be careful. Yue Feiyan stood on the withered tree, her red eyes widened and shouted in panic. Another fierce beast is here. In her sight, a 2-meter-sized spider was quickly approaching Liang. It's okay, Liang waved his hand casually. When the 2 domesticated beasts saw their master catching their prey, they came over curiously to take a look. Yue Feiyan was horrified to find that a big lizard beast suddenly appeared and was also approaching the Gyuji devil insect. She cried anxiously and shouted, "There are really fierce beasts here, but there are still 2. The red-haired girl panicked and started climbing down the dead tree, ready to help Liang. Hiss tilde tilde. Squeak tilde tilde. The 3-color lizard and the red ghost spider surrounded the country of domesticated beasts, staring at the struggling Gyuji devil. The approach of the 2 domesticated beasts immediately scared the Gyuji devil, and the struggle became even stronger. Crunch. The dead tree was pulled to pieces, and the spider silk slackened down. The Gyuji devil was immediately relieved, and the whole figure quickly prepared to shrink underground. Hiss. The 3-color lizard looked at it and immediately rushed over. The circulation of the 3 colors on the 3 cone-shaped scales has obviously used the scale hardening talent. Puff tilde tilde. The big lizard swooped and bitten, suppressing the 9-section demon insect, grabbed it with a paw and clicked through the carapace, penetrated into the 9-section demon insect's brain and pulled out the worm's brain. Liang stopped the thought of using the earth rock manipulation ability to turn out the 9-section demon insect. He saw that the tricolor lizard was so aggressive, he planned to train its hunting ability and saw blood or something. But in an embarrassing place, in just a few seconds, the Gyuji devil was killed by the tricolor lizard. Hiss. The 3-color lizard sticks out its tongue, holding a large white brain tissue in a treasure-like manner. It wants to give the fierce beast spar to its owner. All right, I looked at this middle-level and inferior beast. Liang sighed, there is no need to consider taming. He looked up at Xia Okai's claws, there was bloody and white tofu brain matter. You hold it and don't move. Liang drew a long knife, cut the meat in the big lizard's claws, and picked out a white prismatic spar larger than a thumb. He held the fierce beast spar and waved his hand to the tricolor lizard. Okay, you can eat the rest. Hiss tilde, the 3-color lizard stuffed the meat into its mouth with a dazed expression and found that the meat was not enough to fill the gap between the teeth. Squeak tilde tilde, the red ghost spider came over making a pleased voice. Okay, I will let you evolve now. Liang shook his head amused. He ordered the system. System, let the Starscream evolve to level 5-1. Ding, evolve from level 4 to level 5, deduct 10,000 evolution points. Ding, the red ghost spider has evolved to level 5 successfully. Manipulation, talent advancement, Kaiency manipulation. Ding, 1000 silk control has been improved, adapted, and passed on. After Liang received the reinforcement again, he watched the red ghost spider in front of him grow from 2 meters to a large spider of 4 meters. The grimace on the back of the red ghost spider became more ferocious, as if a ghost was sealed on its back. The spider leg is really like a spear. Liang bends his fingers and knocks on the feet of the red ghost spider, making a sound similar to a metal kiang. After receiving the feedback of his ability, he muttered to himself, the spider silk ability is advanced to the control of thousands of silk threads. This ability is a bit more delicate. How do you feel? A little familiar? Mu Liang's expression on his face is weird, looking at the dense spider silks in his hands like hair. How does he feel like the ability of that flamingo in a pirate anime? Hoo hoo. Yue Feiyan gasped and ran over and saw a scene of harmonious coexistence before her eyes. Mu Liang, are you okay? The red-haired girl is a little pity. What is the situation? You are here just right. I will introduce you to the members of Black Tortoise City. Mu Liang patted two domesticated beasts with his hands and said with a light smile, the big spider is the little red and the big lizard is the little Kai. He never let the tricolor lizard and the red ghost spider appear in front of other people, but let the two domesticated beasts hide on the side of the rock tortoise shell. That is, in the gap between the spurs of the rock armor, it is convenient for two domesticated beasts to sneak out to hunt or something. It can be considered alternative as the first line of defense. Many houses have been built on the high ground and plantations have been expanded. There is no longer a large lizard that is 8 meters long. When the rock tortoise evolves, there will be extra places for the two domesticated beasts to move. Ziohung Xiaka Yue Feiyan looked at the size of the two domesticated beasts and their violent aura. The corners of her mouth twitched and she muttered, this name is really powerful. Mu Liang raised his eyebrows just as if he hadn't heard the red-haired girl's complaint. The name of the domesticated beast needs to be simple to remember. Step on. When Wei Zheng heard the girl's cry, he rushed over with 4 hunting team members. My lord, are you okay? He shouted worriedly, watching the two domesticated beasts warily. It's okay, they are the spirit beasts of Black Tortoise. Mu Liang instantly gave two domesticated beasts a tall identity. Guard spirit beast. Wei Zheng and several team members stared at each other, looking at the two domesticated beasts a little strangely. Yes, they have the same existence as little Black Tortoise. Mu Liang raised his hand and patted the lizard's head. Hiss tilde tilde. The three-color lizard stuck out its tongue and its fixed pupils looked at Wei Zheng. Yes, we understand. Wei Zheng stiffened and reluctantly twitched the corners of his mouth. Several team members were a little afraid to look at the hideous faces of the big lizards. Hoo-hoo, Wei Zheng took a deep breath, suppressing his fear. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw the Jiuji devil insect that had died on the ground, and his face was shocked and he exclaimed, my lord, have you hunted the Jiuji devil? The 9-section demon insect is equivalent to the 4th-order enhancer of human beings. However, fierce beasts are better than humans in judgment. Unless it is a powerful awakened person and a mutation person, Japanese letter can maintain the same rank with the fierce beast. In the past, their hunting team was sneak attacked by the Jiuji devil, and more than 20 people died before hunting a Jiuji devil. That time, the hunting team was seriously injured and understood the horror of the Jiuji devil. Now that the Jiuji devil has been hunted by Mu Liang so easily, it is no wonder that Wei Zheng is so shocked. Yes, can the meat of this weird worm be eaten? Mu Liang nodded. It is correct to say that he killed the 9-section demon insect that the domesticated beast killed. Of course, the meat of Jiuji devil insect is very delicious. Wei Zheng leaned forward excitedly. He tapped the beetle shells of the 9-section demon insect with his fingers and said with joy, these shells are still good materials for armor. You call everyone here, we will transport the 9-festival devil insect back, and we will end today's hunt. Mu Liang felt that there was no need to go on hunting. The 4 knots exposed on the ground are 3 meters long, and the ones underground should be about 4 meters long. 1 person wide and 7 meters long, the 9-section monster is enough for Black Tortoise to eat for several days. Yes, Wei Zheng nodded slightly. They wanted to hunt and dedicated some prey to the lord of the city, but now they have not obtained any prey, they are about to return empty-handed. Bu kai kai kai. Wei Zheng put his finger near his mouth and blew vigorously, making regular bird sounds. Bu chiu. In the dry woods, another rhythm of birdsong soon came. My lord, this is the signal for our hunting team to call. Wei Zheng saw Mu Liang's expression of interest and explained, they have received the signal and will be here soon. Do you imitate the sound of a bird? Do you know what a bird looks like? Mu Liang is interested in the sound of a bird. He has always wanted to domesticate domesticated beasts that can fly, but he hasn't seen any traces of birds. Yes, Wei Zheng was stunned. He shook his head helplessly and said, we don't know what a bird with this voice looks like. It's all from the Yuetan tribe since ancient times. That's it, Mu Liang was a little disappointed. Mu Liang, do you want to catch a bird? Seeing Mu Liang's expression, Yue Feiyan leaned forward and said mysteriously, I know where there is a big bird. Where? Mu Liang asked curiously. There are many big birds in Asuka City, and I heard that there are also mutants who can fly. Yue Feiyan shook her hands and said longingly, I don't know what it's like to fly into the sky. Where is Flying Bird City? Mu Liang's eyes lit up. He needs flying domesticated beasts to guard the sky above the rock tortoises, so as not to be sneaked into and attacked from the air. Moreover, how can the Air Force be reduced by the sea, land, and air? I don't know either. Yue Feiyan saw Mu Liang's bright black eyes. She turned her head in embarrassment and whispered, I heard my mother talk about it before. If you want to know the details, you have to ask my mother. Well, good, Mu Liang nodded. Ta ta ta. There was a sound of footsteps and 3 teams, 12 or 2 hunting team members gathered from 3 directions. My lord city lord. They were surprised to see the 2 domesticated beasts and the Jiuji demon insect lying on the ground. It just happened you can gather some wood. Mu Liang can't let everyone go back empty-handed, so he has to bring something back. Yes, everyone in the hunting team looked at each other. The first time they came out to hunt without prey, they returned with firewood. They can completely imagine how strange eyes will be taken by their family members when they return home. Hurry up, what are you doing standing stupidly? Wei Zheng glared at the players. He took the lead in drawing out a long knife and chopping up the wood. I'm going to get some firewood too. Yue Feiyan stuck her tongue out and she was embarrassed to stand. Mu Liang focused on the Jiuji demon insect and stepped on the ground with his foot. The ground squirmed. Boom tilde tilde. A huge palm made of soil and rock rises from the ground, and the palm catches the 9-section devil insect. Wei Zheng, Yue Feiyan, and others heard this scene, and they were even more in awe of Mu Liang. My lord city lord turned out to be an earth element awakener. Wei Zheng nodded clearly. He could see from the huge scale of his palm composed of mud and rocks, Lord City Lord was at least a Tier 6 awakener. As for whether it is a stronger 7th order powerhouse, it is not his small 4th order enhancer that can tell. Soil system, isn't it the water system and spinneret? Yue Feiyan looked at the mudstone giant palm in confusion. A legend flashed through her mind, the 3-line awakened. It's really abnormal. Yue Feiyan used to be a little proud. At this time, 63 was completely beaten and smoothed. Zio Kai, come here and put it on her back. Mu Liang beckoned the big lizard to come and carry things. His tilde tilde, the tricolor lizard, looked at the Jiuji demon insect with disgust and came under the giant mudstone palm. Zio Kai, don't move, I'll just tie some spider silk on it. Mu Liang controlled the clay palm and placed the 9-section demon insect on the back of the lizard. Huh, a shining bug, the surprised voice of the red-haired girl came. A shining bug? Mu Liang was instantly interested. He came to the girl and saw a dead tree that fell on the ground. There was a bug smaller than a little finger, and the tail was shining with a faint yellow light. Oh, it turned out to be a glowworm. Wei Zheng glanced at the side and whispered. This kind of glow insects are often found in the wild. They seem to be able to fly to the beasts to suck sweat and dander. This is the first time I have seen such a bug, Yue Feiyan said in surprise. A bug that can shine, Mu Liang thought for a while. He felt that if he tamed a bug that would glow, there might be unexpected gains. Oh, I'm going to fly away. Yue Feiyan hurriedly prepared to capture it and took it back to show her mother. The red-haired girl felt that he could seduce Mino so that the other party would not be too timid about her. Call out. A transparent spider silk that was as thin as a hair flew out, entwining the luminous insect in an instant. Call out, the glow bug disappeared instantly. Where's the glow bug? Why did it disappear suddenly? Yue Feiyan stared red eyes in surprise, lowered her head and searched around. System Tame. Mu Liang pushed away his palm in a wicked way, looking at the glowing bug in the palm of his hand. Ding, level 0 life detected glowworm, raise it. Ding. Consume 10 training points, level 1 shining beetle is successfully domesticated. The surface of the glowworm's body flashed yellow, and its body slowly grew larger. Mu Liang retracted the spider silk tied with the glowing bug, watching the bug body that had evolved into a sparkling beetle, slowly growing to the size of a thumb. Ding, do you inherit the talent of the shining beetle? Shining. Inheritance, Mu Liang nodded. Ding, luminous and shining, improving, adapting, and passing on. Try what the new ability is like. Mu Liang finished receiving the ability. He poked out his fingers curiously and tried to activate his abilities. The light yellow light shone on the finger like the light of a small birthday candle. Just shine. Mu Liang was stunned, not too satisfied with this ability. Level 1 is too weak. He thinks that he should evolve further, and he should be able to develop the new abilities of the shining beetle. The system directly evolved the shining beetle to level 4. Mu Liang commanded the system. Bing. Shining beetle evolves from level 1 to level 4, deducting 1110 evolution points. Ding, the shining beetle evolved successfully at level 4. Ding, luminous shine talent advancement. Light shine. Ding, light shines is being improved, now being adapted, and the inheritance is complete. After receiving the power, Mu Liang looked at the shining beetle that had grown to the size of a palm. He carefully observed the sparkle beetle and said in amazement, "The head is a bit like a unicorn beetle, but the body looks a bit like a ladybug. There is a shaped horn on the head of the shining beetle, and the back is a dark red arched carapace, which is in the shape of a water scoop. The tail body is oval, or crystal-like translucent, with a few curved tentacles inside the crystal. Let me take a look at the ability to activate." Liang mentally ordered the shining beetle to show its ability. Buzzing. The shining beetle flew up, and the translucent crystal on its tail glowed yellow like the brightness of a 20-watt light bulb. "That's it," Liang frowned. Although the sparkle beetle can emit the brightness of a 20-watt bulb, it can be considered a small surprise. After all, it can be used as a light bulb, but that's all. Liang is still a bit disappointed. BGFF. What a big light bug. Yue Feiyan was attracted by the light. She covered her eyes with her hand and looked at the fist-sized shining beetle from the corner of her eye. Is there such a large variety of glow insects? Wei Zheng was stunned. There was a thought in his mind, such a big glow bug, only the dander and sweat stains of the giant area can afford it. Buzzing. Shining beetle felt the disappointment of Liang, and its wings flickered faster. The light of the crystal in the tail is brighter, like a searchlight in the dark night. Call out, generally yellow light shines past. The tail of the shining beetle flew out, a light needle the size of a toothpick. Boom. The light needle hit a dead tree and exploded into a fist-sized gap with black smoke. Crunch, the dead tree broke and fell. Laser attack, Liang was really stunned. He blinked and looked at the dead tree that was broken on the ground and the gap that was still emitting black smoke. What a powerful glowworm. Yue Feiyan's red eyes widened, and she stared at the shining beetle in the night sky fiercely. She thought that if the glowworm was caught back, the room would not need to burn wood and the whole room could be illuminated by the glowworm. It's dangerous. Wei Zheng pays more attention to safety. With a long knife in his hand, he was about to slash it to death when the giant glow bug attacked. Shining beetle, you still have hidden moves. Liang heard the girl's exclamation and slowly reacted. He saw the two of them eager to move and raised his hand to wave to the shining beetle. Buzzing. The sparkle beetle descended from the sky, and the light gradually converged, controlling the brightness of ordinary candle lighting. Finally, in the surprised eyes of the people around, the shining beetle stayed on the palm of Liang's hand. Huh? Yue Feiyan was stunned for a while. She asked in astonishment, Liang, isn't this also your domesticated beast? Almost so, Liang nodded lightly. You are really amazing, you can even find such a big glow bug. Yue Feiyan red eyes are full of envy, staring at the fist-sized glowworm. It's not a luminous bug but a shining bug. Liang smiled and threw the beetle in his hand. He is very satisfied with the ability to shine light. What is satisfied is not the present, but the development potential in the future. Think about the shining beetle evolving. The ability is laser attack one after another. It is simply a mobile laser turret. Shining beetle, this name is quite appropriate. Yue Feiyan nodded in praise. The red-haired girl stared at the shining beetle for a while, then reluctantly continued to chop the wood. As for the little glowing bug that disappeared, after she saw the sparkling beetle, she was completely disinterested in looking for it. Liang didn't say that the little glow bug was the hinning beetle, but turned on the system to check its properties. Trainer Liang, stamina 141.3, speed 138.6, strength 136.7, spirit 152, lifespan 24 years 30-60 years, taming points 60, evolution point 90-58, ability thousands of silk control level 5, the light shines, level 4. Hide, domesticated beast. Red ghost spider talent, Cyancy control, level 5. Shine beetle talent, light shines, level 4. Domesticated plants, hidden, there are only 9,000 evolution points left. It's really not durable. Liang closed the system properties panel after reading it, and he was out of sight and out of mind. It didn't take long. Wei Zheng carried a half-person tall firewood and respectfully said, My lord, the wood is collected. 16 members of the hunting team also carried a large bundle of logs on their backs. I'm fine too. Yue Feiyan hurriedly carried the firewood over. Then go back, Liang said softly. He released the shining beetle and ordered it to light up the road ahead. Yes, everyone rushed in the dark. Slush. A gust of wind and sand blew by at night. A figure with black hair and red eyes appeared from the shadow on the ground. A flutter of wings came from the night sky. A young girl with blonde hair and ponytails fell from the sky, and a pair of bat-like wings shrank into the back. Mia, don't we need to hurry up at night? The blonde girl said immaturely. Mia glanced lightly, only the blonde girl who reached the height of her chest. Her crimson pupils shrunk slightly and said faintly, You don't understand, I haven't been back for 4 years. This time I have a chance to come. I must come back and have a look. Hey, you Catwoman. The blonde girl put her hands on her waist, puffed her cheeks, and shouted angrily. The look in your eyes just now despise my height. You think too much, Hybeck. Mia turned her head indifferently. Cut, your stinky face, little sister is not afraid to be scared when I see you, Saibki said with a sarcasm. Mia's indifferent face. She stopped, her crimson eyes fixedly looking at the blonde girl. What do you want to fight? I'm not afraid of you. Saibki couldn't help taking a step back, opening her mouth to reveal a pair of small fangs. In other words, Zio Huya is similar. None of your teeth have sucked human blood and there is no deterrent at all. Mia indifferently scanned a pair of small tiger teeth of the blonde girl. You wait for me. Hybeck put one hand on her waist and pointed at the cat-eared girl and yelled, sooner or later I will suck your blood. You can't beat me, Mia said lightly. Humph, I'm still young. When I grow up a few years, I will be able to beat you. Saibki put her hands on her chest, raised her head triumphantly, and hummed. I will definitely pick you up at that time to beg for mercy and keep calling me as the princess. You are 20 years old, 3 years older than me, Mia stated lightly. Damn it me, I just slept longer. Saibki's wings were all exposed, flapping. Close your wings, don't scare me, little sister. Mia gave the blonde girl a cold look. Cut, you just have a sneak peek, do you want to meet her? Saibki retorted, but her wings contracted obediently. I have to tell Mino I'm still alive. Mia looked up at the tribe in the dark ahead. You will bring danger to her. Saibki showed a small tiger tooth and reminded, don't forget you have something in your hand. Mia paused and said coldly, I will leave right away, they won't stay. You just have to know it in your heart, and you don't know what you want that thunder spirit beast egg for. Hybeck used Luo, Lian spit out, her tongue licked the corners of her mouth. It's better to bake the eggs, I haven't eaten spirit beast's eggs when I grow up so old. Are you an idiot? Mia's eyes trembled, her emotions fluctuating. You are the stupid one. Saibki suddenly exploded her hair and Loi Lian shouted, they have been chasing us for 33 days for this thunder spirit beast egg. She wondered if she was a real idiot, and why she joined the Oasis force, stealing things every day and then being chased and killed. It won't be long before they will give up, Mia said lightly. You said the same last time, that time we were hunted for 100 days and my wings were torn. Saibki was angry when she talked about it and she complained loudly. I forgot, Mia replied flatly. You Saibki is so angry that she shows her little tiger teeth and she has the urge to bite this stinky woman. Mia didn't turn her head back and said indifferently. It's coming, your teeth will be put away. Huh, Hybeck pouted, using her double ponytails angrily. Thump, she bumped into Mia's back and ran after her body, sitting on the ground unsuspectingly. What are you doing? Sabaki got up frantically. She saw the dumbfounded figure of the cat-eared girl frowning and walking forward. The blonde girl can see at night and clearly see the dilapidated small tribe not far away, but she didn't sense that there was a person inside. This is your former home? Saibki asked hesitantly. Yes. Mia's face was as cold as ice, her whole body exuded a cold breath and the shadows on the ground fluctuated violently. What? Next second. Mia turned into a shadow and rushed towards the tribe along the ground. I should have thought of it long ago. Saibki shook her head. In such a cruel world, small tribes like this do not know how many are disappearing every day, nor do they know how many small tribes are gathering. Flutter. Hybeck spread her wings and flew towards the small tribe. She sensed Mia's blood and landed in front of a dilapidated wooden shed. Mia clenched her lips and stood at the door of the wooden shed. She looked a little timid and her sharp and cold breath fluctuated greatly. Don't you go in and take a look, maybe you can find some clues, Saibki suggested softly. Yeah, a trace of scarlet ran down the corner of Mia's mouth, and she was timid for a few seconds before stepping into the wooden shed. Sniff tilde Saibki wrinkled her nose and smelled a hint of blood. The blonde girl, one policewoman, glanced at the back of the cat-eared girl. It was the first time she saw Mia's timid look and decided not to irritate her. Everything is gone, there are about 10 days left. Mia glanced around. Based on what she has learned and heard over the past 4 years, she can probably tell what the situation is. Have you been away for 10 days? It's a bit hard to track, Saibki frowned. I will find her, Mia said hoarsely. She stood in the middle of the greenhouse and saw a nicked stone on the ground with sharp eyes. Anything left by Mino? Mia knelt down and picked up the stone. The thing in his hand is tight, there are pitfalls. A thought flashed through Mia's mind, and the figure flashed in a conditioned reflex. She hid in the door of the greenhouse and almost ran into the blonde girl at the door. Is there a situation? Saibki looked serious, and her golden pupils instantly turned blood red. It shouldn't be. Mia hesitated for a moment and came to the center of the greenhouse cautiously, looking at the rocks on the ground. She picked up the stone again and turned to look at the image of the earless girl carved on it. This rabbit painting is pretty good, Saibki leaned forward, patted her toes, and looked at the abstract girl with rabbit ears on the rocks. There's something under this. Mia looked at the silk thread tied to the stone. Take a look, maybe it's your little sister's message, Saibki urged curiously. Okay. Mia tore the silk thread on the stone and put it precious in her pocket. The shadow under her body fluctuated and turned into a shadow-condensed hand to dig into the ground. The wooden box was easily dug out. It's a box, open it quickly. Saibki's blood-red pupils turned back to gold and said eagerly, do you want me to open it for you? No, Mia refused indifferently. She knelt down, patted the dirt on the wooden box, and gently opened the lid of the wooden box to reveal a roll of cloth inside. Is it a piece of cloth? Is there any word on it? Saibki guessed. Minuo, if she has not left this tribe, she is illiterate. Mia picked up the piece of cloth, feeling a little uneasy. Do you want me to open it for you? Saibki looked reluctantly. No. Mia refused again indifferently. She spread out the piece of cloth carefully and looked at the painting on the canvas. The B*****D riding a fierce beast actually dared to take Minor away. Mia's breath became stronger and she gritted her teeth and said, I will definitely find him. If I have a little problem with little sister, I will definitely kill him. I think the content on the painting is not what you think. Hibek stared at the painting on the canvas and said, I think it's you, little sister, who couldn't wait for you to come back. He followed this man riding a fierce beast to find you. The painting I painted by little sister, I just understand it. Mia rolled up the cloth indifferently and stuffed it preciously into her arms. What I'm saying is true, Saibki said with her hands on her hips. I am her big sis, Mia said coldly, but I understand her paintings, you don't. Hibek puffed her cheeks and argued. She clearly painted it clearly. I just understand, Mia responded unwillingly. Humph, then you just wait. Hibek turned her head uncomfortably, a man riding a fierce beast. Mia didn't bother with the blonde girl and muttered to herself. What kind of fierce beast is he riding? Zero, a turtle, isn't it painted? Saibki couldn't help but reminded proudly. Not a tortoise. Mia shook her head and said lightly. I look like an octagonal fangs beast. Are you against me? Hibek looked over in shame. No, what I said is the truth, Mia said lightly. If you don't believe me, just wait to regret it. Saibki was anxious. I will find Minor, Mia assured her in a cold voice. Saibki's anger came quickly and it disappeared quickly. She couldn't help asking again, I have always been curious, why did you leave your little sister? Mia shut up and said nothing. She thought of the disgusting leader again and wanted her to be a maid 4 years ago. Said to be a maid, but in fact it was for fun. Mia was not reconciled. After telling little sister that she must disguise herself as a man, she entered the wilderness alone. If it wasn't for the luck that was saved by the crazy woman later, maybe she had been eaten by the moon wolf. Don't speak again, Saibki murmured boredly. Suddenly, a strange breath permeated. Hurry up, those people are chasing again. Mia's face changed, and her figure turned into a dark shadow and rushed out. Damn, a bunch of chasers chasing them every day. Hibachi yelled angrily next second. She spread her wings and quickly chased the girl with cat ears. The dilapidated little tribe calmed down again, calm for less than 3 minutes. La la. 3 Taoist shadow rushed into the tribe. Sniff sniff. A figure with a wolf head sniffed the air. He growled, just walked for a while. Chasing, you must get back the egg of thunder, spirit beast. Another figure with a lion head said harshly, you must kill these 2 thieves from the oasis. But that blonde young girl is. The last figure with a bear's head hesitated. She is already a traitor, Yayu Cheng will not take care of her. The lion head waved his hand indifferently. He gave the wolf head figure a wink and motioned to lead the way. The 3 of them tracked away again after 1 and 2. It turns out that it's like driving at night. Yue Feiyan carried the firewood and followed Mu Liang's side, curiously looking left and right. Otherwise, what do you think it looks like? Mu Liang looked sideways at the lively and cheerful red-haired girl. I heard from the hunting team that it is very dangerous to go on the road at night, and there are often beasts attacking people. Yue Feiyan pulled the rope on her shoulder with her fingers. She didn't carry anything on her back, and her shoulder was a little uncomfortable because of the rope. Wei Zheng followed the 2 of them. Hearing the girl's words, the corners of his mouth twitched. There are 2 fierce beasts ahead of them opening the way. What danger can there be? It's really dangerous to drive at night. You'd better not drive at night in the future, Mu Liang exclaimed. In order to avoid the behavior of today, the girl will have a thought that she can't travel at night. Really dangerous, Yue Feiyan blinked. The reason why we are not dangerous now is that my domesticated beast is opening the way. Mu Liang pointed to the front and said faintly. There is also the little black tortoise standing in the distance, so that some fierce beasts dare not approach us. 063. He has the little black tortoise here, so all the way smoothly. The white-haired girl has been amazed she hasn't slept well in the night in the wilderness for a long time. I see. Yue Feiyan's expression became serious. On the first hunt, the only thing she received was fright. Big miss, you can bring some high-level beast dung on your body. Wei Zheng later proposed, the number of attacks by beasts can also be reduced at night. It is impossible to completely scare away the beasts. There is always some iron and the beasts with abnormal perception will be stupid. The dung of a high-level fierce beast, Yue Feiyan nodded thoughtfully, hurrying is boring and tedious. All gathered here we are ready to go up, Mu Liang shouted, are we here? Empress Yue Feiyan raised her head and looked at the huge figure in front of her, or the rock tortoise whose appearance was more like a hill. Get up, Mu Liang lifted his foot and stomped the ground, and a stone pillar platform supported the crowd and two beasts to rise. The stone pillar platform was connected with the city wall on the turtle back, and the hunting team left the platform and came to the city wall. The red ghost spider did not go up the city wall, jumped onto the stone armor of the tortoise shell, and disappeared flexibly into everyone's sight. Mu Liang removed the 9-section demon insects from the 3-color lizard and used the 1,000 silk control ability to throw the 9-section demon insects onto the streets inside the city wall. Call out at this time after seeing the light, Liu, Yuekinlin, and Minuo rushed to the street to help. Boom. A 9-section demon insect that descended from the sky landed a few meters away from the three of them, and their hearts trembled in fright. Really a wicked person, Yue Kinlan doesn't need to think but also knows who is capable of doing this. Indeed, Liu's mouth twitched and nodded in agreement. That is it tonight's prey, Mino shrank his neck timidly hiding behind the white-haired girl. I guess so, Liu nodded lightly. Why did you come down? Mu Liang led everyone down the city wall and looked at the three in surprise. The three women arrived so quickly, it shows that they have been watching when they will return. Mino looked at Mu Liang's body and his worries disappeared. She took a curious look at the beetle on Mu Liang's shoulder and could guess that it must be a newly caught domesticated beast. We are here to help. Yue Kinlan pulled the water-blue hair around her ears. She glanced at the safe and sound red-haired girl and breathed a sigh of relief. Then break down this 9-section devil and make the meat into bacon. Mu Liang pointed to the 7-meter-long 9-section demon insect. 9 festival demon insect, I haven't seen it for many years. Yue Kinlan said in surprise. My lords, let us take care of the meat. Wei Zheng immediately came forward to request after unloading the firewood. They did not hunt the prey and even let the people around the city lord handle the prey. That would really be dereliction of duty. Yes, it will be handed over to you. Mu Liang waved his hand. He originally arranged it for everyone, but Wei Zheng's winking automatic request was unexpected. Mu Liang labeled Wei Zheng in his heart. This is a talent that can be trained after focusing on observation. This demon insect shell is a good material for making spiritual artifacts. Liu came to the Jiuji demon insect and knocked on the insect shell with her hand. It can indeed make some armor-shaped spiritual tools. Yue Kinlan nodded. Do you know how to make spiritual weapons? Mu Liang looked at the black-bellied woman in surprise. I will make some simple spirit tools, but those complex advanced ones will not. Yue Kinlan smiled gracefully. Higher spiritual weapons require special secrets, some special talents and knowledge of spiritual weapons. Mu Liang nodded thoughtfully. The formation of a force requires not only resources and talents, but also some good equipment. For example, the sniper rifles used by special forces are better and more accurate than those used by ordinary troops. Liu, you can cut some insect shells and use them to make spiritual weapons. Mu Liang said to the white-haired girl. The white-haired girl is leaving tomorrow morning, so it is safe to prepare something more. I lack an arm guard. Liu nodded lightly. She did not be polite to Mu Liang either. She picked up a short knife and started to cut the worm's shell. Don't go. Mu Liang grabbed the earless girl who wanted to go to help with the dissection. I can. Mino held a short knife and said seriously, I have killed many small lizards. I'm a bit hungry, you can grill some meat to eat. Mu Liang chuckled lightly, hungry. Then I'm going to barbecue. Minuo was slightly taken aback, immediately hugged a piece of meat and trot back to the high ground. Mu Liang, can you show me the shining beetle? Yue Feiyan leaned forward and looked at the beetle resting on Mu Liang's shoulder. Take it, if you want it to glow, just tap the carapace 3 times. Mu Liang picked up the shining beetle and gave the shining beetle some hints of light on and off with his heart and mind. Then how to turn off the light? Yue Feiyan asked in surprise. She didn't expect to be so magical and convenient to control the light of the shining beetle. It can be turned off with 1 tap. Mu Liang put the sparkle beetle on the hand of the red-haired girl. Oh, I will remember. Yue Feiyan carefully held the shining beetle with both hands. She happily held the shining beetle, leaned in front of Yue Kinlan, ready to show off. Mother, look at this beetle. Yue Feiyan excitedly held the shining beetle. She blinked mysteriously and asked, "Mother, guess what this is?" Without looking, I knew it was Mu Liang's Sichuan beast. Yue Qinlan glanced at it and asked calmly, "What are you doing with it?" She was standing next to Mu Liang just now and had observed this beetle. "Oh, just guess it." Yue Feiyan's expression was dazed. She didn't see her mother's troubled or curious expression at all. "Don't guess." Yue Qinlan was not fooled with a smile. "Huh, it's not fun at all," Yue Feiyan said with a small mouth and went back to the high ground holding the shining beetle. "Okay, so much is enough." Liu came over with a stack of insect shells. "Then go back to the high ground." Mu Liang stretched. He beckoned to Wei Zheng and said, "Handle the meat well, and each family will allocate some meat according to the population. The remaining meat and insect shells must be sealed." "Yes," Wei Zheng respectfully said. 5.5. "Let's go." Mu Liang took the two daughters to the high ground. Yue Qinlan walked 2 steps faster and walked side by side with Mu Liang. She asked softly, "How do you plan to distribute the remaining meat?" After seeing Liu, she also walked a few steps faster and walked side by side with Mu Liang. "Distribute according to the intensity of your work," Mu Liang said with a smile at the corner of his mouth. "It seems that you already have a plan." Yue Qinlan also wanted to remind that the meat should not be distributed for no reason. "There is a brief idea," Mu Liang nodded. "By the way, what beetle was Fei Yan just holding?" Yue Qinlan asked calmly, "Why is she so excited?" "Well, you have to ask her." Mu Liang's mouth curled up and strode forward. Yue Qinlan's expression was dazed. She didn't expect Mu Liang to answer that way. The expressions of mother and daughter are really similar. The corner of Liu's mouth lifted slightly. Mu Liang came to the high ground and turned around and glanced at the gloomy street. Wei Zheng and others dealt with the Jiuji devil, and there were only a few small fires illuminating nearby. Start Xinghui realm ahead of time. Mu Liang's mind and thoughts were conveyed to Xinghui tea tree, and Xinghui realm was launched to illuminate. As soon as the 6th level star tea tree started realm, the green star spots on the tea leaves suddenly lit up. The height of the tea tree is 16 meters, and the light is enough to cover the entire back of the tortoise shell. In the soil of the plantation, under the cover of the 6th level star realm, the plants that have just been planted are all rejuvenated. Some plants have begun to send out new shoots and some plants have bloomed, and even a large amount of growth is visible to the naked eye. No one knows the situation in the plantation for the time being. The light attracts everyone out. Boom, Yu Fei suddenly opened the door and ran out quickly. She looked up at the starlit tea tree and muttered blankly, "It's so beautiful, I really want to study it." It turns out that the Xinghui tea tree will still shine. Yue Qinlan blinked her blue eyes, her pupils shining with stars. "Wow, it's so beautiful." Yue Feiyan took the shining beetle out of the house and looked up at the Xinghui tea tree. She felt that the brilliance of the shining beetle was not as good as the Xinghui tea tree to show off. Mino blushed and shyly avoided the red-haired girl, who was entangled by the red-haired woman just now to look at the shining beetle. "Whatever you say, as long as you be friends with each other, tell her how the shining beetle controls the light." Ryu glanced obsessively at the shining star tea tree. She came to Mu Liang and asked, "Will the night be too eye-catching?" The white-haired girl was a little worried that someone would steal it. With such brightness at night, someone nearby would definitely come and check it out. "I can only pay more attention." Mu Liang took a look at the dark night in the distance. Xinghui tea tree will emit light if it wants to induce plants to grow. If Xinghui realm is activated during the day, it may be able to conceal the light. However, there will be 3-star realm activation times at night, and there is no way to avoid it. Launching the Xinghui realm in advance can also illuminate Wei Zheng and others for the convenience of dissecting the 9 demon insects. "I'll watch the night," Liu said softly. "No, you don't want to set off tomorrow, so hurry up and make arm guards." Mu Liang shook his head. He had already sent an order to the red ghost spider to place spider silk perception and traps around the edge of the rock turtle shell. If there is a thief coming to steal something, then you have to weigh it carefully. "Okay." Seeing Mu Liang's serious expression, Liu reluctantly entered the house holding the worm shell. Yue Qinlan saw the white-haired girl walking away. She moved over and asked, "How long does the light last?" "Probably there will be a fire time." Mu Liang frowned and said a time. In this era of the end of the wasteland, there is no clock, and the time is judged by burning fire and watching the sky. This is what Mu Liang heard from the white-haired girl. A bonfire lasts about 15 minutes to half an hour. Although Mu Liang feels that it is reasonable to wait for the fire to burn for several hours. "Oh, let Fei Yan come to watch the night tonight." Yue Qinlan arranged for her daughter in an instant, although she said it in a joke manner. However, it can be regarded as starting to find opportunities for her daughter to experience and want her to mature as soon as possible. Then you have to endure a little bit more hardship so that you can stand alone. Otherwise, the future in black tortoise is not very promising. No need tonight, I will let the domesticated beasts watch the night. Mu Liang glanced at it and once again rapped the earless girl's Yue Fei Yan. He smiled and said, everyone is tired today, let's arrange her vigil tomorrow. Okay, Yue Qinlan nodded with a smile and walked into the house with graceful steps. Mu Liang followed, passing by the identity of a red-haired girl. He patted Yue Feiyan on the shoulder and said meaningfully, with such a mother I have worked hard for you. Huh, Yue Feiyan was blankly blank, I'm going to barbecue. Mino took the opportunity to slip away, leaving the red-haired girl in a daze. What do you mean? Yue Feiyan thought suspiciously. I don't know what it means. After hearing the words of the red-haired girl, Yu Fire answered the words naturally. She tugged a branch of Xinghui tea, ready to go back and study it. Really, it's saying something I don't understand. Yue Feiyan glanced around and saw that everyone had entered the house. She stomped and ran into the house, behind which was the exclamation of Wei Zheng and others. Inside the house, at this time, Mu Liang, Liu and Yui Qinlan were studying how to make an arm guard. Elementary spirit artifacts are generally made by using the characteristics of the beast's materials. Mu Liang recalled what the white-haired girl had said and asked, what are the characteristics of the nine-seed demon insect? Its lightness and hardness, Liu said coldly. Lightweight. Mu Liang picked up a worm shell and squatted it. Such a weight is very light for him, but it is not light for others. This hasn't been dealt with before and it will definitely be heavier, Yue Qinlan added. If the carapace of the nine-section demon insect is boiled with hot water, the carapace will shrink and become lighter, and the hardness will be stronger. The characteristics of this nine-section demon worm is not a very confidential information, and it can be obtained by people who are generally well-informed. The only difficult part is how to get the shell of the Jiuji devil insect. Understood, Mu Liang nodded thoughtfully. Make a small portion and cook it first and judge the contraction times. Liu cuts a palm-sized insect shell. After she recorded the specific size of the worm's shell, she put it in an iron pot, filled it with water and boiled it on the fire. Is there anything special about time? Mu Liang asked with interest. No, cook until it doesn't shrink at all, Liu said softly. The shell of the nine-section demon insect is relatively easy to handle. If it is the animal material from other districts, it needs a certain standard time. Seeing Mu Liang's interest, Yue Qinlan said some common sense. Generally powerful spiritualists, they all have their own time recording methods and standards. Time recording standard, Mu Liang glanced at his own watch. This is not a ready-made time recording standard. Furthermore, a powerful spiritualist must look for the ratio of the materials and handle the material veins so that the fierce beast spar can be charged. Yue Qinlan pursed her mouth and then said, such a mid to high-level spiritual weapon can even exert the same magical effect as the awakened ability of the army. Oh, Mu Liang nodded seemingly. Material ratio, how does it feel like an alloy material? Mu Liang blinked and found a way of contrast in his mind. 10 minutes later, Liu took out the black worm shell in the hot water and placed it on the table to compare the size before cooking. She handed the worm shell to Mu Liang and whispered softly, shrink twice, the hardness should be about 30% stronger. It's a lot lighter. Mu Liang took the worm shell and weighed it and compared it with the rest of the worm shell. It was at least twice as light as it was. There is a sticky thing in the worm shell which will melt into the water after being boiled. Liu said the reason why the worm shell became lighter. That's why it turns black. Mu Liang nodded sharply. He suddenly understood that the making of spirit instruments is an alternative technology of the end of the wasteland. As long as you understand the characteristics of the fierce beast material and the processing method, you can make a spirit weapon with it. Although it depends on the material of the beast, 63 is sustainable. As long as you know the reduction ratio of the worm shell, you can polish the worm shell the size of the armband and then put it in the water and boil it. As she said, Rizuki picked up the worm shell and cut it with a short knife. She is going to make an arm guard that is twice the size, and when it is boiled in water, it will shrink to the size of the normal arm guard. Otherwise, it would be too laborious to cut and polish the worm shells in advance after the hardness has been strengthened. By the way, what is the pulse you just mentioned? Mu Liang suddenly remembered and asked curiously. This is the vein. Yue Qinlan picked up the cooked worm shell and showed the cut surface to Mu Liang. Hollow holes? Mu Liang looked at the cut surface of the worm shell. There were very tiny holes. There are many small passages in the whole shell. Some of them are connected, some are dead ends. These are collectively referred to as veins. Yue Qinlan shook the insect shell and said gracefully, a powerful psychic master can find all the interconnected veins in a piece of material and use a special method to collude, and then connect it to the beast spar, so that it can be considered as a production. It's an intermediate spiritual weapon. In her free time, she devoted herself to studying the making of spirit instruments, but she eventually lost her way to finding the pulse. So just find all the connected pulses and connect them. Liang squinted his black eyes and asked, "Can you make an intermediate spirit weapon?" Almost so, Yue Kinlan hesitated for a moment, feeling that it would be okay to say that. "Maybe I can try to find these veins." The corner of Liang's mouth raised slightly. "What?" Yue Kinlan and Li Yue looked at this man in disbelief. "You, a person who doesn't even know much about spiritual weapons, suddenly said that you can find the pulse. Are you kidding me? Liang, are you kidding?" Yue Kinlan questioned. She used to use the water-based awakening ability to invade the veins of the fierce beast material, but failed to figure out all the veins of the connection. It's too much consideration of people's energy and fine control. "Sure," Liu stopped her movements. "Try it and you'll know." Liang took the insect shell in Yue Qinzinlan's hand. He pointed his finger at the small hole in the cut surface of the worm shell, and wisps of spider silk drilled in. Kyancy's ability to control will give people a kind of tentacle-like feedback. Dozens of spider silks shuttled in the veins of the insect shell. Liang closed his eyes and a maze of veins appeared in his mind. The spider silk connected all the connected veins and connected them in series, after a little while. "Okay, all the veins have been found." Liang opened his eyes and lay in the small hole in the cut surface of the worm shell in his palm, with spider silk pouring out. "Really found them all." Yue Kinlan stared at the big water blue eyes, looking at the spider silk wriggling on the edge of the insect's shell in disbelief. "It only took a long time to complete the search for the veins. It's not difficult," Liang said lightly. Yue Kinlan and Liu were at a loss for words, which was a bit shocking. If the pulse path is so easy to find, there won't be so few spiritual weapons above the intermediate level. "What do you want to do with the rest?" Liang looked at the worm shell in his hand. He is now interested in spirit tools. If he can make a spirit tool with awakening ability, he can quickly arm a powerful special force. For example, the special forces of the world version of Wasteland Doomsday. Others are slowly cultivating the awakened and abnormal. He directly makes the enhancer put on the spirit weapon and become as powerful as the awakened and the mutant. With such a team, collecting the beast spar at that time can be very easy and simple. Yue Kinlan slowed down with a complicated expression and asked, "What kind of spiritual weapon are you going to make?" "Make an arm guard." Liang glanced at the half-cut worm shell of the white-haired girl. "If you can make a powerful magic weapon, the white-haired girl will be safer to travel. To make an arm guard first, you have to figure out the veins of each worm shell, and then cut out the size of the pores between the veins of each worm shell and the vein." Yue Kinlan has never made a successful intermediate spirit weapon. She can only talk about the knowledge she had collected before. Next, in the core area of the vein path of the arm guard, dig a small hole that can be inlaid with the fierce beast spar, so that it can be made into an intermediate spirit weapon. "This is not just doing puzzles," Liang said in surprise. "Arm guard puzzles, the veins between the puzzle pieces inside need to be connected, which is really harder." "It's almost what it means." Yue Kinlan nodded softly. "So these cuts can't be used." Liang took a look at the worm shell cut out by the white-haired girl. "Not only can it not be used, but you have to treat the worm shells with hot water in advance," Yue Kinlan said with a smile. "Otherwise, there will be a slight deviation in the veins between the shells, and the intermediate spirit artifacts you make can only be semi-finished products." The elementary magic weapon uses the characteristics of the material itself, unlike the intermediate magic weapon that uses the beast spar to increase its characteristics. It can be cut and spliced at will. "There is so much attention to detail." Liang nodded lightly. He said to the red-haired girl who was sitting blankly, "Feiyan, please go and bring me a bunch of insect shells." "Okay." Yue Feiyan put down the shining beetle, got up and ran out. "Do you really want to make an intermediate spirit weapon?" Liu asked softly. "Try it. Failure is nothing. Success is even better." Liang's mentality is very good. It didn't take long. Step on. Yue Feiyan came in with a pile of dark red insect shells and placed them on the table. She wiped the sweat stains on her forehead and asked heartily, "Do you want more? I'll move in a little bit more." "No, these are enough." Liang waved his hand, holding the worm shell, and began to boil it with water. "The barbecue is ready to eat." Mino brought a plate of barbecue to the table. "It's been a long time since I've eaten grilled devil worm meat." Yue Qinlan greedily spit out a little on the tip of her tongue. "It's not fishy, and it's a bit sweet." Liang took the lead in picking up a skewer of barbecued meat and ate it. "If he doesn't eat first, none of the women will do it. I'm going to give you Fair some past." Liu picked up a few skewers and walked outside the house. Her companion, if it weren't too hungry, wouldn't let go of research and find something to eat. "Minuo, you will be responsible for delivering food to you for tomorrow." Mu Liang said softly. A person who has fallen into a frenzy of research really needs logistical services. Okay, Mino nodded obediently. Liu just walked to the gate. She stopped, her small mouth under her mask slightly raised. A meal of 9-section devilworm meat a few people are content to eat. Time to eat. Mu Liang also cooked all the worm shells and began to explore the location of the veins of the worm shells and then drew the joints of the arm guards. After drawing the puzzle pieces, all that is left is to cut them down and join them into arm guards. It doesn't seem to be difficult. Mu Liang took a short knife and easily cut out all the puzzle pieces. Yue Qin Lanbai gave him a glance. If a powerful person above Tier 6 is still difficult to deal with only Tier 4 worm shells, then it is really time to bury it. The rest is splicing. Mu Liang spliced pieces of worm shells together. He looked at the seams on the arm guards and asked a little worried, "Are these seams really okay?" "It's okay as long as the post-spirit ritual is okay. These seams are completely unaffected." An inexplicable tension flashed through Yuikin's blue eyes. What is a spiritual enlightenment ceremony? Mu Liang was a little at a loss, yet another thing he hadn't heard of before. You put the fierce beast spar into it, and I'll talk about it after the spirit opening ceremony. Yue Qinlan pressed her lips together. It's simple. Mu Liang had already found the most concentrated place of the arm guard's veins. He used the fierce beast spar of the 9-section demon insect, traced the position on the arm guard and digged the hole and then put the fierce beast spar on. Okay. Mu Liang looked at the arm guard without a trace of change. If the arm guard is for Liu, she should understand the spirit opening ceremony. Yue Qinlan turned to look at the white-haired girl. I know, Liu nodded. Then give it a try. Mu Liang handed the arm guard over. The spirit revelation ceremony is also called the master recognition ceremony, Liu said after taking over the arm guard. She cut a cut in the tail finger with a knife and dripped blood on the beast spar on the arm guard. A magical scene happened. The entire surface of the arm guard showed white veins, and the white was filled with a hint of red. If there is no problem with the vein connection, the spiritual enlightenment ceremony will also be successful. Yue Qinlan took the words and explained the question she hadn't answered before. The cracks in the spirit weapon you are worried about will also be attracted by the fierce beast spar. Tilde. The arm guard made a soft noise. The acknowledgement ceremony is over. Liu opened her mouth wide in disbelief, blankly holding the arm guards that returned to calm. At this time, her mood is complicated. After several years of studying in that place like the underworld, she can only make simple low-level spiritual weapons. Now, Mu Liang has succeeded so easily. Really, it was really successful. Yue Qinlan stared at the arm guard in astonishment. She had no idea that she would succeed in one shot. She had already thought about words to comfort Mu Liang after confessing the Lord's failure. Now, the facts in front of her told her that Mu Liang had succeeded in making an intermediate spirit weapon for the first time. Yue Qinlan now feels that she is the one who needs comfort. The old mother collected all kinds of spiritual knowledge, and it took 3 years for the whole process to be long and short, but she fell on her way to find the pulse. However, the man in front of her told her with the reality of one fruit and one fruit. I didn't use it all night, but she taught Mu Liang to make an intermediate spirit weapon. Mu Liang looked at the unpredictable expressions of Li Yue and Yue Qinlan, frowning, gritting his teeth and feeling a little bit depressed. He turned his head to the red-haired girl and asked in a low voice, what happened to the two of them? Maybe the shock was too big, Yue Fei sighed. She knew that her mother had been obsessed with making spiritual weapons for a while. Then, for 3 years, I didn't get an intermediate spirit weapon, and the condensed water was too exhausting, so I stopped studying. It's quite simple. Can this be a blow? Mu Liang blinked his black eyes innocently. He did not find it too difficult. The most time-consuming part of the whole production process was the cooking and polishing of the shells. You don't talk about it anymore. Yue Feiyan didn't know whether to laugh or cry, tugged at the corner of Mu Liang's clothes. Going on, her mother was about to cry in shame. I'm a little tired, so go back to bed first. Yue Qinlan's eyes were filled with depression, and she stood up and walked out without a god. She finds an excuse to escape from the hall. Her face is a bit uncontrollable. I'll help you. Yue Feiyan stepped forward and took her mother's hand. The two went out like this. After watching the two of them, Mu Liang asked the white-haired girl, Liu, how do you feel about this arm guard? Very good. Liu had just left the stool and sat down again. Let me see the difference between the intermediate spirit weapon and the elementary spirit weapon. Mu Liang took the spiritual tool made by himself, and then the spiritual tool made by the white-haired girl. He squeezed 2 arm guards and found that the arm guard he had made was twice as heavy. This mid-level spiritual weapon arm guard can only be used by a person who recognizes the master and won't feel the weight. Liu saw Mu Liang's puzzled expression and said, If I come to pick it up, this intermediate spirit weapon has no weight. Then how to get rid of re-recognition? Liang was curious. Deduct the fierce beast spar and let go of the blood in the veins, and it will become a masterless weapon. Liu said softly, inlay a new fierce beast spar and just do the master recognition ceremony again. It turned out to be that simple. Wang Hao Liang nodded suddenly and then handed the armguard to the white-haired girl. Really, give it to me? Liu took the armband blankly. She had the same idea as Yue Qinlin. She didn't think that Liang would be able to accept the ceremony easily if he succeeded once. As a result, both of them were hit by a ton. It's useless for me to come. Liang waved his hand. With just such a tier 4 spiritual weapon, he squeezed it exploded as soon as he tried hard. The spirit weapon he uses must at least not be broken by himself. Thinking about it this way, Liang suddenly felt that using the scales of a large lizard and the shell of a red ghost spider would definitely be very powerful. Very well, he discovered another great use for domesticating beasts. Then I will accept it. A touch of sweetness appeared at the corner of Liu's mouth. With this armguard, she can completely block a lot of damage and she won't have a burden of weight, which is much better than the primary spirit weapon. You hurry to rest and you have to hurry tomorrow, Liang said gently. Yeah. Liu fixed a glance at Liang's son. She held the arm guard made by Liang tightly and carried the arm guard made by herself in her other hand. The white-haired girl walked briskly into the own room. At this time, the edge of the rock tortoise's shell is in the crevice of the rock shell. The three-color lizard and the red ghost spider shivered inexplicably and found that their own scales and shells were a little cold. It seems that something bad is about to happen, hiss. In the early morning, the sky was bright. Liang found dead. The earless girl's rapid cry woke up Liang, dead. I see. Liang opened his eyes and looked at Mino's anxious, pretty face. He grinned sleepily and said lazily, is it hanging on the wall? Huh, how did you know? Mino was stunned. She glanced around the room and didn't see anyone there. Don't look at it, people died at midnight, Xiao Hong did it. Liang sat up, Feng Qingyun said calmly. A few thieves touched them last night and were caught by Xiao Hong and hanged. The red ghost spider found a thief last night, so he sent feedback. Liang just fell asleep for a while and he felt a little bit angry when he woke up. He replied, kill them. As you can imagine, several thieves were caught by the red ghost spider and hanged on the wall after injecting poison. It turned out that big spider did it. Mino's anxious thoughts suddenly settled down. She is not afraid of the dead, but that there will be internal people killing each other. After all, before the rabbit-eared girl met, she began to think that Liang was a dead person and even turned his body. How could she be afraid of dead people? How are the people outside now? Liang asked curiously. Everyone is very nervous. Mino tilted his head for a moment and said, the dead are the newcomers who came up to inform. Where is Liu? Is she awake? Liang nodded and asked about the white-haired girl. Wake up, she did the breakfast. Mino said clearly. Okay, you go out first, I'll change my clothes and go out. Liang nodded softly. Oh, Mino sluggishly ran out with a blushing face. When did you become so shy? 63. Liang tilted his head in doubt, got up and opened the closet to change clothes. He put on another loose black hanfu and he has to order something today, so he has to be more serious. Buzzing. After Liang changed his clothes, he heard the sound of wings shaking behind him. He turned around and saw the sparkle beetle flying in the air, holding an object the size of 2 fingers in its paws. For me, Liang blinked his eyes in confusion, accepting the meaning from the shining beetle. Buzzing. The sparkle beetle trembles its wings vigorously. Okay, then give it to me. Liang raised his hand to catch what the shining beetle was holding. He took a serious look and found that it was a small shining beetle, but it was not as mighty as a large shining beetle. This is your offspring. How is the light source released? Liang's black eyes sparkled with joy, and he asked some questions about the shining beetle. The buzzing sparkle beetle passes on simple habits. I understand. Liang nodded clearly. He looked at the shining beetle and smiled. Your offspring will be called the lantern beetle. Buzzing, the shining beetle responded and flew away. It now lives on the Xinghui tea tree during the day and will only return to Liang at night as a source of light. I didn't expect the shining beetle to be so capable. It would actually produce 1 offspring every day. Liang was completely surprised by this sudden accident. The offspring of shining beetle can perfectly solve the light problem of everyone. The reason why he named these beetles lantern beetles is that they can be used as lanterns. BGFF Liang held the lantern beetle in his hand and left the room happily. He came to the hall and saw that the white-haired girl was already fully armed and sitting at the table, wearing the hooded cloak he had just met. Liu looked up and looked over as if feeling sensitive. She pursed her lips and stood up and said softly, Mu Liang, I'm going to leave. Are you full? Mu Liang asked softly. I'm full, Liu nodded lightly. Do you have all the jerky, enough waters? Mu Liang asked again and again, is there enough weapons? His mood is a bit complicated, describing it as complicated as the daughter who was raised suddenly, who is going to travel far away. Everything is enough. Liu lowered her head and said hoarsely. Following Mu Liang's 4 questions, her silver-white eyes were already slightly red. Just bring enough, I'll give you one more thing. Mu Liang took a step forward and passed the lantern beetle. What is this? Liu reached out and took the beetle. This is called a lantern beetle. The tail glows at night and it can glow for at least 8 bonfire hours. Mu Liang explained the habit of the lantern beetle. At night, if you don't let the lantern beetle glow, you have to wrap its tail with a piece of cloth. During the day, you have to untie the cloth patch on the tail of the lantern beetle so that it can breathe and absorb the luminous material. The lantern beetle also likes to eat some green plants. You go pick some star tea leaves and bring it with you. Mu Liang clearly explained the precautions, habits, and feeding of the lantern beetle. I will protect it. Liu held the lantern beetle in her precious hands. If you take the lantern beetle with you for 3 days, it will remember your smell, and if you lose it, it will fly back to find you, Mu Liang said softly. Yes, Liu nodded. Hurry up and pick the tea leaves and hurry up while the weather is still early. Mu Liang didn't want to delay the white-haired girl's departure time. Good, Liu nodded obediently. After slowly walking out of the house, she rushed to the plantation to pick up tea leaves. Zio Yu, you have to be careful. Yu Fire yawned in confusion. She wrapped her head indiscriminately with a piece of cloth, and the top of her head was strangled with a small amount of blonde hair. I will, you have to pay more attention to rest. Liu put the tea into the bag in the cloak. No, the strengthening secret medicine is too interesting. Yu Fei shook his head in a daze. I really can't do anything with you, Liu sighed helplessly. By the way, when you saw Elena and Yan Bing, you said I missed them. Yu Fire said in a daze. She turned around and walked to the institute, having been separated too many times. From the beginning, I was not used to it, and then I gradually got used to it. Don't stay in the room all the time, come out and chat with Mu Liang and Minuo, Liu yelled softly. Talk to Mu Liang? Yu Fei stiffened and almost fell. She shook her head and yelled shyly, no, it won't work. No, I will scare him. Yu Fei ran away before he finished speaking and went back to the room to study again. It's weird, it's the first time I saw Yu Fei so scared of a person. Liu blinked her silver-white eyes suspiciously. She didn't have time to think too much and trot out of the plantation. Liu saw that Mu Liang was standing on the stone stairs on the high ground with Mino standing beside him. I will send you down, Mu Liang beckoned. Yeah. Liu took a deep breath, calmly stepping forward. The 3 of them got off the high ground and walked down the street and saw some smoke from the roofs. My lord, city lord. People on the street stopped to salute respectfully when they saw Mu Liang. Yeah, Mu Liang nodded lightly. When the 3 of them got on the city wall, they saw Wei Jiang with his team members on patrol. The few people who were hanged this morning really scared them. My lord of the city. Wei Jiang saw Mu Liang and immediately brought people up. I have something to say later, Mu Liang said calmly. He turned his head and glanced at the white-haired girl without saying much, manipulated the rock to create a platform. Mu Liang took Liu to the platform. Mino didn't follow and stood on the city wall obediently, but moved a few big steps aside, away from Wei Jiang. She waved to the white-haired girl and said clearly, Liu, be careful on your way. I will, Liu said softly. Mu Liang controlled the platform to descend and reach the ground in no time. I'm leaving. Liu stepped off the platform and walked slowly into the distance. I'm waiting for you at the 10th floor city, Mu Liang yelled gently. Yeah, Liu paused, raising her hand and waved. She walked 3 steps forward again, her nose was a bit sore and her vision was blurred. The white-haired girl finally couldn't help turning around and ran towards Mu Liang. Thump. Liu plunged into Mu Liang's arms, hugged his waist tightly, cheeks pressed against her heart, listening to the steady and powerful heartbeat. She felt at ease inexplicably. Mu Liang put his hands around the girl's waist and hugged him quietly, enjoying the warm and sad parting at this moment. I am leaving. Liu hugged him quietly for a while, pushed Mu Liang away without giving up, turned around and ran away. She didn't want to leave because she was afraid of holding it again. Why is this feeling a little different from the comrades in arms? Mu Liang shook his head and smiled bitterly. So far, people who haven't been in a relationship, no matter who they are a little confused. He kept seeing the girl disappearing at the corner of the hill not far away before controlling the rock platform back to the city wall. Mino wrinkled Qiang's nose, hummed, and came to protest. What's the matter with you? Mu Liang asked knowingly, reaching out to pull her ears. Don't try to grab me, I'm going back. Mino hugged his head and squatted down, then immediately got up and ran. Unexpectedly, I didn't catch it today. Mu Liang shook his palm regretfully. He turned his head and saw Wei Jiang with weird faces and said lightly, "Summon all the hunting team members, I have something to announce. The city of Black Tortoise will usher in its first reform, and it is necessary to put the life of Black Tortoise City on the right track before reaching the 10th floor city. Otherwise, when something new comes, it will be messed up together." Yes, Wei Jiang and others' expressions tightened. They knew that business was finally coming. Moreover, they also got an important piece of information. Lord City Lord likes to pull his ears away. Yui Qinlin entered the hall elegantly and saw Mu Liang sitting at the table writing something. She glanced quietly and asked softly, "Has Liu left?" "Well, I have been away for a while." Mu Liang raised his head and put down the charcoal pen in his hand. Yui Qinlin's charming face flashed with a trace of sorrow. She came to the table, bowed her head and asked, "Are you going to start preparing for the meeting?" "Yes, just wait for the people from the hunting team to arrive." Mu Liang pointed to the location beside him, smiled and said, "You need to record something during the meeting, my clerk." Clerk Yui Qinlin was stunned. "Not good." "Then change the name female secretary." Mu Liang's mouth rose even more. "No, just the clerk." Seeing Mu Liang's ridiculous smile, Yui Qinlin suddenly felt that this female secretary was no, the clerk was good. "Now we are short in Black Tortoise City. This time the reform is to improve the foundation." Mu Liang said softly, "I'll write it all down." Yui Qinlin pulled the hair hanging on her cheek, step on tilde tilde. Yue Feiyan and Minuo trot into the hall. The red-haired girl stood behind Yue Qinlin, and she was embarrassed to spit out her small tongue at Mu Liang. She overslept by accident. She slept too comfortably and she was not too stressed out. Smelling the faint tea fragrance in the air made people sleep more deeply. Yue Feiyan believed her mother had overslept too. Last night, the two of them discussed how to get better to see Liu off, but now they can't even see the figure. Well, it means that both of them have overslept. Minuo obediently stood behind Mu Liang. She bent down, reached his ear, and whispered, "They are all here." Da da da. As soon as the voice fell, there was a sound of footsteps outside. Wei Jiang led 16 hunting team members into the hall in an orderly manner, each with a touch of dignity and restraint on their faces. They saluted respectfully, "My Lord City Lord." "Wei Jiang, sit down." Mu Liang waved his hand. As for the others, they were here to listen. Yes, Wei Jiang sat at the table respectfully. The 16 hunting team members all stepped back and stood quietly by the wall. I'm late." Yu Fei trot into the hall in a daze. After sending the white-haired girl, she fell asleep on the desk in a daze. It was the rabbit-eared girl who came to inform the meeting to wake her up. "Sit down," Mu Liang pointed to the side. "Oh," Yu Fei sat down with a blushing face. Mu Liang looked up at the blonde hair on top of Yu Fei's head and opened his mouth. He decided not to say it anymore, and dumbfounded Mao looked very interesting. "Then the first reform meeting of Black Tortoise City begins," Mu Liang said solemnly. "Yes." Everyone looked straight. "First of all, Black Tortoise City will implement a contribution value system." Mu Liang glanced around and said faintly, "The City Lord's mansion will give out tasks, and those who complete the tasks will get a certain contribution value." He saw that there was no question, so he went on to say, "Wei Jiang, your missions are all specific: patrolling, vigil, going out hunting, etc. These are your missions." "Yes," Wei Jiang nodded respectfully. "Black Tortoise City will not distribute food to everyone in the future. You will need to exchange them for contribution points." Mu Liang tells the true use of the contribution value. Contribution value is the temporary currency system of Black Tortoise City. Only when there are more people or more resources will it be reformed again. "Understood," Wei Jiang suddenly replied. The 16 hunting team members were relieved, to be honest, when they heard that the contribution value could be exchanged for food. They stayed in Black Tortoise City are uneasy. After all, Black Tortoise City is much better than Moon Lake Tribe. There is no need to worry about the water source, and the environment is very good. Let them have a sense of dreams, and with Mu Liang's performance last night, they felt that they had lost an expression of self-worth. The hunting team is not like the ordinary people in the family. They think more about it. If they can't find a place of value in Black Tortoise, they are afraid that one day they will be driven away. After all, no power will support idlers. In addition to your specific tasks, the City Lord's mansion will also release other tasks which are acceptable to your family. Mu Liang will start looking for things for the residents to do. "You said?" A hint of joy flashed through Wei Jiang's eyes. When the family has something to do, they truly integrate into the city of Black Tortoise, instead of staying at home and eating and waiting to die. The City Lord's mansion needs some wooden tables, iron pots, cabinets, etc. Mu Liang raised his hand and crossed his chin and said, "The City Lord's mansion will give specific drawings. As long as the production requirements on the drawings are met, you can get the contribution value." The furniture he wanted was not pieced together with a few pieces of wood, but pieced together with smooth wooden boards. Not for the pursuit of luxury, but to find things for everyone to do. After all, the tasks of the city lord's mansion are too few. A piece of rough-made furniture can be made several times a day. A beautiful piece of furniture, but it takes several days to complete. In addition, the city lord's mansion does lack good desks, chairs, cabinets, and other things, just enough for the residents to have something to do. We will convey it to the family and let them work hard to complete the task, Wei Zheng assured seriously. Specific tasks, I will post them on the bulletin wall. Liang will open up a notice wall on the street close to the high ground wall, and any announcements will be posted on it in the future. This Wei Zheng scratched the back of his head a little awkwardly. Most of them are illiterate, and they don't know the words on the bulletin wall. Don't worry, I will let the clerk take charge of this task, and she will inform everyone of the contents of the announcement. Liang saw Wei Zheng's expression and understood nothing without guessing. He turned his head and said to Yue Qinlan, I will leave it to you to complete the task of contribution value. For flowers, yes, Yue Qinlan smiled gracefully. One more thing, it's about your hunting team. Liang turned to look at the hunting team members. You said, Wei Zheng's expression was constricted. The contribution value has another use, it is a benefit that only belongs to your hunting team. Liang did not appetite saying, as long as the contribution value reaches a certain level, or there is a lot of credit, it can be exchanged for the secret medicine of human body strengthening. The hunting team has a lot of tasks, and part of the contribution value is given to the family in exchange for food, and there must be some leftovers. If you don't give them a hope, sooner or later people will become numb and dull and even deal with things. Huh, Wei Zheng opened his mouth in disbelief. The contribution value can be exchanged for strengthening secret medicine. Is this true? The hunting team members are also a little unbelievable. You fair, how long does it take to make a secret medicine for strengthening the human body? Liang did not answer the crowd, but turned to look at the blonde woman who was a little dozing off. 0, we still need to collect some medicinal herbs. Yu Fei replied in a doze. She also thought of seeing the lush medicinal herbs growing in the plantation when seeing off the white-haired girl in the morning. Yu Fei cheered up and added, it shouldn't take a few days to make a strengthening secret medicine. The City Lord's mansion has human strengthening secret medicines from Tier 1 to Tier 5. As long as you work hard to complete the task and have enough contribution points, you can exchange it for the strengthening secret medicine. Liang scanned the hunting team, full of majesty and oppressive force. But if you do something that is sorry for Black Tortoise, then the consequences will not be as simple as driving out of Black Tortoise. There must be some incentives so there will be no less punishments. Will not. A fool would do something sorry for Black Tortoise. Whoever dares to do it, I will be the first to spare him. People on the hunting team promised one after another. They are really afraid that someone will do such a stupid thing which will make everyone unable to live a good life. Well, this is the end of today's first reform meeting. Liang waved his hand and signaled everyone to leave. Yes, Wei Zheng got up and led everyone away. The next step is to work hard for you. Liang turned to look at Yue Qinlan. He only needs to control the general direction, and the remaining details will be perfected by Yue Qinlan and implemented in detail. Leave it to me. Yue Qinlan accepted the task gracefully and generously. She found it very interesting, much more interesting than gathering water in the Moon Lake tribe. I will complete the reform as soon as I reach the 10th floor city. Liang didn't want to get to the 10th floor city, and had to distract himself from the internal affairs of Black Tortoise City. When he arrived at the 10th floor city, he had to concentrate on collecting fierce beast spars and looking for new animals to be domesticated beasts. I'm doing my best. Yue Qinlan nodded seriously. 5 days have passed since the first reform meeting in Black Tortoise. The outer city is the back-shaped outer ring area below the highlands, and is referred to as the outer city by the residents. At this time, in a residential house in the outer city, everyone was working and discussing some things. After completing this cabinet, you should get 3 contribution points right. This is what Moon Lord said. What do we pick up for the next task? Of course, we will continue to take on the task of making furniture. We are used to this. Do you want to take on the task of making iron pots? Forget it, I don't have the strength. Hurry up and check another table again to see if there are any burrs. In this residential house, several families work together to make furniture specially. After all, it takes several days to make a piece of furniture by one family alone. Later, Sir gave everyone an idea, let a few family members work together, and then evenly share the contribution value. Sir, don't you need to go to the city lord's mansion to bring your own daughter? Someone suddenly asked. No need for 063, me no miss has learned a lot, I don't need to follow it all the time. Sire smiled bitterly and shook his head. Minuo had learned the essentials of serving people, and now he took Wei Yulan to handle all kinds of domestic affairs with ease. She stayed in the city lord's mansion and found that she couldn't get in. She felt that it was not good to be doing nothing, so I came to help make furniture and earn some contribution value to subsidize the household. It's great, mother and daughter can work in the city lord's mansion. The young girl envied. You are as beautiful as Xiaolin and you can also work in the city lord's mansion, a woman joked. As long as you talk a lot, hurry up and carry things to hand in the task, Sire said in an angry voice. We are envious. What's so envious? The life now is much better than before. Sire felt that everyone was dissatisfied. Yes, at least I don't have to worry about running out of water. People will definitely envy us when they see it, a woman said with emotion. I am sure to envy us. Such a day would never have been imagined before. A few women and girls moved the cabinets, the tables came out of the house and walked to an exchange by the rocky stairs on the high ground. They chatted as they walked, chatting and saying whatever they thought. I really want to go up to the high ground. A girl looked up at the high ground. Xiaomi, that's easy, just let Sir take you to take a sneak peek, someone said jokingly. When the girl named Xiaomi heard this, she turned her head and looked at Sir in anticipation. No, I don't have the right to take people up. Sir shook her head and refused, but didn't dare to take people up to the high ground at will. That's it, Xiaomi lowered her head in loss. In the future, the city lord's mansion will definitely have to hire a maid. You can participate in the selection in the future. Sir saw that Xiaomi and her daughter had grown up as playmates, and she reminded me a little bit. Good, Xiaomi's eyes lit up. It's not why she went to the high ground, but everyone said how beautiful and good the high ground was, which made her look forward to. Many people at the scene heard Sir's words, and they all felt their eyes brightened and decided to go home and talk to their daughters. It's not that simple to want to be a maid. Sir saw the expressions of the people and knew what these people were thinking. She felt that everyone present also had a chance for Xiaomi. They were pretty and innocent. Is there anything you need to pay attention to? Xiaomi asked humbly. There is too much to pay attention to, it is not good to know too much now. Sir feels that it is better not to say too much, so as not to cause bad consequences. When everyone saw Sire shut up, they thought they had touched the secret, so they didn't follow up. Everyone, hurry up, I have to line up to fetch water, Sire urged everyone. Didn't you just finish drinking water yesterday? Someone asked differently. My husband came back from hunting yesterday, sprayed all over his body and used water, Sire said in fear. The one in my family said that the captain of the guard was very brave, and he killed a fierce beast by himself. The people on the hunting team are a bit crazy now, desperately taking on tasks to earn contribution points, a woman said worriedly. Stop talking, we're here. Sire looked at the house in front and beckoned everyone to carry things in. Everyone, be careful when you carry them in and don't touch other things. This house is the place to receive missions, and also the place where contribution value is exchanged for things. Liang is named Exchange. At this time, Yue Qinlan was recording things on the exchange, calculating the addition and subtraction of inventory and contribution value. Master Moon, we brought the cabinet table. Sir habitually calls Yue Qinlan the Moon Lord. It's really fast for you to finish it. Yue Qinlan stopped the charcoal in her hand, took a notebook bound with animal skins, got up and checked the cabinet and table. We did it with several people, Sir said embarrassedly. It's good to do it together. Yue Qinlan remembered that Liang recognized this behavior. After her acceptance, the record said, the cabinet has a contribution of 3, the table has a contribution of 2, and the chair has a contribution of 1. There are 6 contribution points in total. Do you plan to contribute 1 point per person? After Yue Qinlan finished recording, she raised her head and asked, or should I just redeem things here and go back? Moon Lord, what are the things over there? Sor glanced at the exchange counter. She pointed to a cage and asked, is it a new exchange item? Oh, that is a lantern beetle. It can be used for lighting. It's no problem in the middle of the night before lighting. Yue Qinlan briefly introduced. When the lantern beetle was still in the morning, Liang handed it to her, saying that it can inspire people to put it on the exchange. Lantern beetle, how much contribution does it cost? Sir asked with interest. 500 points contribution value, Yue Qinlan smiled. Where is that brand? Sir was speechless and immediately turned to the next item. A little contribution value can be exchanged for a caddy of jerky. Let her use 500 points to exchange for a beetle for lighting. When I go back, my husband will be severely criticized. Besides, Sir does not have 500 points contribution value. If the contribution value earned by Wei Jiang is added, it will take dozens of days to be able to afford it without cost. Yue Qinlan's reaction to her was expected, turning her head to look at a small wooden board with a pattern. She pursed her lips gracefully and said calmly, "That brand can be exchanged for a tomato, which is a kind of fruit." Liang asked Mino to draw this brand, and he also sent it to the exchange. That is to say, try to add a new kind of item every day, so that the value of the contribution value can be guaranteed, so that everyone's contribution value can be spent. "You can actually change the fruit," Saur exclaimed. "What can it really be exchanged for fruit?" Several women and girls also leaned forward and looked at the small wooden board in surprise. 30 contribution points can be exchanged for a tomato, Yue Qinlan said faintly. "This is too expensive." Everyone shook their heads and suddenly lost interest. They work together in partnership, and each one gets 1 or 2 points of contribution in almost a day. After all, their main income is the men of the hunting team. Although they are very greedy for fruits, they don't dare to exchange fruits with the chief of the family. You can exchange some other things back, such as a seed. Yue Qinlan feels that if a tomato is sold outside Dasheng, it will definitely cost more than 30 contribution points. But Liang told her that local prices are different. If 5.5 people from outsiders enter, the actual value of 30 contributions will be reduced many times, and some prices will also double. "Seeds, can you really change to seeds?" Saur asked expectantly. 10 contribution value can be exchanged for a cabbage seed. You will grow cabbage in the future, and the city lord's mansion will buy it if you want to sell it. Yue Qinlan said a command that she didn't quite understand. In the past 5 days, she has received many orders that she didn't understand. However, she obediently implemented it and decided to understand it later. "Please give me a seed," Saur said immediately. She had long imagined that she could have a plant, and now she finally has a chance to achieve it. "Here." Yue Qinlan took out a small cloth bag from the counter and handed it over. "This is the seed." Saur carefully held the small cloth bag with both hands. "I'll cross out your 10-point contribution value," Yue Qinlan said while flipping through the hide book. "Yes," Saur nodded respectfully. The sky was getting dark, and a figure came from far away from the street. His face was tired, and he was walking listlessly. "It's not a human thing, it makes me use my power all day long." Yue Feiyan's pretty face was pale and complained. Holding an object in her arms, she shook as she walked, as if the next moment would fall. Behind, a young girl saw the appearance of the red-haired girl, obviously hesitated, then trot forward. Xiaomi, carrying the bucket, came to the side and asked, "Master Xiaoyu, do you need me to help you go back?" "Little Moon Lord, are you calling me?" Yue Feiyan was stunned and pointed at herself blankly. "Yeah," Xiaomi nodded innocently. It's the first time someone called me like that." Yue Feiyan grinned refreshingly, remembering the girl with short brown shoulders and short hair in front of her. She cheered up and refused. "No, I'll be at the exchange right away. You should just go and queue up to fetch water." Then you should be careful," Xiaomi said, concerned. Carrying a wooden barrel, she trot to queue to fetch water. It seems that her family has protected her very well. Yue Feiyan hugged the items in her arms and ran to the exchange. She decided that next time she would never exhaust herself again. It would be too painful to walk. It took 10 minutes. Yue Feiyan finally came to the gate of the exchange, facing Yue Qinlan, who just looked up at the gate. "Why did you come back by yourself? I thought I was going to pick you up again." Yue Qinlan got up 16 in surprise and held her daughter, who was about to fall. I have done this." Yue Feiyan handed over the items in her arms like a child. "Oh, I burned the clay pot again." Yue Qinlan took the clay pot and looked at it carefully. She turned left and right and praised. "This clay pot is much better than the one you burned 2 days ago. I was exhausted the other day." Yue Feiyan showed a trace of calmness. At the tail of the rock tortoise, a kiln has been built for experimentation and firing of ceramics. At Liang's request, Yue Feiyan has been exercising his fire awakening ability for 5 days, heating iron blocks with fire and burning pottery with fire. In the past 5 days, the first 3 days were exhausted, and I only got used to it yesterday, and I can come back by myself today. "Let's go, I'll carry you back." Yue Qinlan closed the door and squatted down in front of Yue Weiyan. "No, I can go by myself." Yue Feiyan shook her head quickly, her pretty face a little embarrassed. "It's been 4 days now, and it's not bad for this day." Yue Qinlan knew what her daughter was thinking without even thinking about it. She pulled the red-haired girl's skirt with both hands and took the upside-down Yue Feiyan on her back. "Yes," Yue Feiyan put her arms around her mother's neck. "You get a little bit, my neck is about to break." Yue Qinlan rolled her eyes beautifully. Yue Feiyan let go in a panic. Yue Qinlan carried Yue Feiyan on her back and walked towards the highland stairs. She crawled halfway and asked softly, "What's wrong with the training of awakening ability?" "There has been some progress," Yue Feiyan whispered. She glanced around for fear that someone would see herself being carried by her mother, which was really embarrassing. "When I was your age, I was already a Tier 4 awakener." Yue Qinlan's mouth raised slightly. She felt that she should put a little pressure on her daughter. When the previous pressure is gone, she should create a small pressure and have a small goal for Yue Feiyan to pursue. "I will also become a Tier 4 awakener this year," Yue Feiyan promised quickly. "Then you have to work hard." Yue Qinlan pinched the red-haired girl. Yue Feiyan's pretty face flushed, and she warned, "Mother, move your hand down a little bit." "I thought it was a thigh," Yue Qinlan said in surprise. A smile flashed across her aqua-blue eyes. "How is it possible I'm also a fart?" Yue Feiyan flushed and retorted angrily. "Yes." A happy smile appeared at the corner of Yue Qinlan's mouth. She teased her daughter and watched her blow up hair. She felt that she was relieved from the tiredness of the day. "Huh," Yue Feiyan pouted and hummed to express his own protest. Yue Qinlan didn't go to tease her daughter again and quietly carried her to the high ground. The two heard a hiss sound. Yue Feiyan looked at the house where the sound came from and asked in a low voice, "Liang is still tossing his domesticated beasts in the studio." "Well, it is estimated that it will take a while, and I don't know what kind of magic weapon he has developed." Yue Qinlan's charming face had a hint of curiosity. During the 5 days, Liang set up a workshop dedicated to making spiritual tools, and most of them stayed in it to conduct research on spiritual tools, as if they had some plans. "It's the first time I have heard that making a spirit weapon will pull out the scales of one's own domesticated beasts." Yue Feiyan's pretty face has a weird look, and she covers her mouth and chuckles. "It's really hard to be a domesticated beast of Liang." When she saw the big lizard coming out of the studio yesterday, there was a trace of humanized grievance on her face, which almost made her laugh. Maybe it really made him research something awesome. Yue Qinlan has completely accepted the fact that Liang is abnormal. She is very curious about a perverted spiritual tool made by research. Taste a tilde tilde. Suddenly the door of the studio opened, however no one came out. "No one came out?" Yue Feiyan stared with red eyes. "No, someone came out, but you can't see him." Yue Qinlan's body stretched and her aqua-blue eyes rose. She felt a little strange, but she couldn't capture where the figure was. Cough. A soft cough sounded behind the two women and their hearts trembled with fright. "Ah," Yue Feiyan exclaimed, her hands clenched. "Feiyan, you are going to strangle me to death." Yue Qinlan turned quickly and gracefully, but was strangled by her daughter's hands to follow her. "Iya," Yue Feiyan let go in a panic, staring at the front. "It seems that my spiritual weapon armor is quite practical." Liang spoke, slowly relieved of his invisibility. "This is..." Yue Qinlan stared at the water-blue eyes, staring at the three-colored full-body armor in front of her in shock. "It's so cool," Yue Feiyan's eyes glowed. At this time she showed strength inexplicably, struggling to get off the back of her mother and rushed to Liang quickly, stroking the surface of the three-cone armor with both hands. "How about my 5-day results?" Liang raised his hand and took off the mask on his face, revealing a handsome and masculine face. "It's so cool, it's a girl's favorite." Yue Feiyan was short of breath, pulling the three-colored armor on Liang with both hands. Liang raised his eyebrows, raised his hand to hold the red-haired girl's forehead and pushed it away. "Let Yue Feiyan touch it again, and the armor will be taken off. You are here to make a high-level spiritual tool." Yue Qinlan exclaimed. She didn't expect that Liang's talent was so high. She developed a full-body armor and spirit weapon that can be invisible, and it only took 5 days. There are still areas to be improved. Liang moved his arms and other places. There are many details to modify the first whole-body spirit weapon armor. After all, it was hurriedly produced in 5 days. "Liang, take it off and let me try it." Yue Feiyan's eyes lighted up and she wanted to try this cool armor very much. "Well, you don't have much strength, what else to try?" Yue Qinlan stepped forward and pulled her daughter's back collar apart. She smiled at Liang and said gracefully, "Let me try the limits of this spiritual weapon armor." Mother, how can you do this?" Yue Feiyan's eyes widened and her eyes were weak and struggling. "Wait a minute, you may not be able to try it either." Liang stepped back half a step, and his black eyes swept to the area below Yue Qinlan's chin. "His armor is made according to the man's body shape, and if a girl wants to wear it, she has to change her breastplate a little." "I see." Yue Qinlan met Liang's gaze, and she understood what she meant within 80 minutes. Her charming and pretty face suddenly blushed, and she turned around quickly. "Wait for me to improve it, you can try again." The curvature of Liang's mouth rose slightly. Hiss. At this time, the three-color large lizard crawled out of the workshop and gazed at the three-color cone-shaped scales on Liang's body. Mu Liang smiled stiffly and said nonchalantly, "Don't be wronged, I didn't heal your injury, but I will give you a lot of benefits." He pulled out the scales of the large lizard and then fed it with evolution points, coupled with the ability to regenerate the limbs, and pulled out dozens of scales of the large lizard in just 5 days. The tricolor lizard stuck out its tongue. "No, you have to pull out some more scales." Mu Liang listened to the big lizard and asked if he didn't need to pull out the scales anymore. The three-color lizard stiffened obviously. "Hey, there will be rewards." Mu Liang coaxed like a kid, passing 20 evolution points to the lizard. The tricolor lizard walked away happily and in pain. Pain is a piece of scale pulling. It feels better than pulling a large piece of pain. Happiness is of course the point of evolution and the company of the owner. The big lizard is really pitiful. I met a master like you. Yue Feiyan shook his head, looking at the disappearing big lizard pitifully. "Poor, it seems that you can't try this armor." Mu Liang gave the red-haired girl a warning. Would he not know the temperament of his domesticated beast? The big lizard was obviously pretending to be pitiful and acting like a baby. "No, not pitiful at all." Yue Feiyan shook her head quickly, her pretty face full of seriousness, and said, "I think the big lizard can stand it completely and can pull out more than 80 scales." Zui Qinlan couldn't help holding her forehead. "When did my daughter become so not wanting face? Who on earth broke my daughter? What you said, let Zio Kai hear it. What do you think will happen to it?" Mu Liang twitched the corner of his mouth and looked at the red-haired girl jokingly. The lizard can't understand human words, right?" Yue Feiyan stiffened. She moved her steps in a serene manner and hid behind Mu Liang. "Maybe, I probably know a little bit." Mu Liang himself was not sure. Anyway, what he said, the domesticated beast could understand it. As for the others, he hadn't tried it. "Well, explain to the big lizard I didn't mean it." Yue Feiyan cried and squatted on Mu Liang's arms with both hands on her face. Even if she can laugh at the big lizard, she is even more afraid of the big lizard, with an 8-meter-long body and a hideous face, who is not afraid of it. You really are." Mu Liang doesn't know how to complain. He looked at the way the red-haired girl was counseled and said with a dumb smile, "Well, it didn't hear what you said." "Great," Yue Feiyan breathed a sigh of relief. "Okay, get off me." Mu Liang thought the red-haired girl was too funny. Yue Qinlan squinted her aqua-blue eyes and looked at the two laughing people. She pressed her slender palm to her heart, and she felt a little bored inexplicably. "Mother, what's wrong with you?" Yue Feiyan turned her head to see her movements and asked worriedly, "Where is it uncomfortable?" No, Yue Qinlan saw Mu Liang's inquiring gaze and put down her heart-pressed hand in a panic. "Is the wound not completely healed?" Mu Liang frowned and asked. "Okay, it's just a little itchy." Yue Qinlan's brain turned and she hurriedly found an excuse. "Yes, it's a bit itchy." "It scared me," Yue Feiyan breathed a sigh of relief. She looked at her mother's face. It was much better than before and there was still a hint of blush on her cheeks. "Mu Liang, it's time for dinner," Mino probed out of the hall. Her blue eyes locked Mu Liang's figure for an instant, her small mouth opened slightly and she looked at his armor in amazement. "Let's go eat and talk." Mu Liang walked towards the hall. When he passed by the earless girl, he raised his hand to support the girl's open mouth and chuckled. "The water is about to flow down." "Yeah." Mino wiped the corners of his mouth in a panic, but he didn't find any saliva, so he knew immediately that he had been fooled. She shouted in dissatisfaction, "Mu Liang, you lied to me again. I will erase the rosy for you." Mu Liang stood in front of the table in his armor. He glanced at Wei Yulan, who was standing next to Wei Yulan in a maid costume, and behaved softly. This 13-year-old girl with long brown hair and brown eyes has become the #1 maid of the rabbit-eared girl. "Master Mu Liang/W," Wei Yulan shouted weakly. "Yeah." Mu Liang nodded calmly. He beckoned to Mino and shouted, "Come here and help me untie my armor." Here, Mino hurriedly stepped forward, and his little hand skillfully pulled open some webbing knots. These days, the earless girl helped Mu Liang to untie the armor, and she has already learned some experience. Soon, the armor was disassembled and placed on a chair. Although the armor is not heavy or stuffy, it's still a bit uncomfortable. Mu Liang sat at the table with a sense of feeling. Yue Qinlan sat quietly beside Mu Liang before her daughter. She folded her hands on the dining table and asked curiously, "Do you want to mass-produce this set of armor?" Yue Feiyan glanced at Mu Liang and sat quietly on a chair next to the armor. She touched the armor cautiously, picked up an arm guard and put it in her hand, and studied how to become invisible under the dining table. "I will mass-produce a few sets. This invisible armor will only be worn by people from our special department in Black Tortoise." Mu Liang has always made this invisible armor, not for himself. After all, he can be invisible and harden his skin on his own, and an extra set of armor is of little use. If a special team is formed with invisible armor, it can become one of the trump cards of Black Tortoise. Special Department? Yue Kinlan was a bit at a loss. He hadn't heard of any special department in Black Tortoise City. I haven't formed yet. Liang actually has a candidate in his mind. That person was Ryu, who had left Black Tortoise City 5 days ago and put on invisible armor, just enough to conceal the symptoms of virtual ghost infection. Where is the candidate? Yue Kinlan blinked her blue eyes. Just one for now. Liang spread his hands. At this time, Minuo and Wei Yulan began to serve several people. The girl with rabbit ears only prepared meals for Liang, while the others were all prepared by Wei Yulan. Mino is ready to Liang and own after dinner. She was sitting on the other side of Liang opposite Yue Kinlan. Stir-fried cabbage, tomato broth, and fried pork steak. Liang looked at the 3 dinner dishes in front of him. It was really too extravagant compared to before. The plantation has 6-level star tea trees, and some plants grow quickly. Green vegetables and fruits such as cabbage and tomatoes grow the fastest. Therefore, the city lord's mansion has begun to be extravagant, and every meal can afford to stir-fry cabbage. Hurry up and eat. Liang cut the fierce beast steak. This is the fierce beast captured by the hunting team today in cooperation with the red ghost spider. In the past few days, hunting will follow a domesticated beast. The success rate is much higher, and it is also safer several times. After Liang chewed the meat and swallowed it, he asked softly, "You Fei or won't come out to eat?" Meino looked at Wei Yulan, who was standing next to him. The meal was delivered by a weak maid. She is timid and dare not face people. She will send her own number 1 maid to take action. Wei Yulan reported it and said softly, "Miss Yufire." She said she was going to make a strengthening secret medicine soon, and she didn't want to waste time out of it. She is really obsessed. Liang shook his head helplessly. He waved his hand to Wei Yulan and said, "Go down and eat too." "Yes," Wei Yulan said respectfully. She turned and walked to the newly established kitchen, already a little looking forward to the maid's meal tonight. Even the maid's meal is many times better than the family's meal. Yue Kinlan looked at Wei Yulan's back leaving. She continued the previous topic and asked, "Do you have any plans?" "There is a small plan." Liang took a sip of the soup and said, "I need someone to act as a thief." "Thief, go to the 10th floor city to steal something?" Yue Kinlan frowned her beautiful aqua blue eyebrows. "No, it's stealing our own things." Liang raised his index finger and shook it. "Ah, why?" Yue Kinlan was a little groggy. "I ask you, how can we quickly trade our things in exchange for a large number of beast crystals?" Liang talked about the problems that had plagued him for a few days. "This will make us famous." Yue Kinlan thought for a while but could only say a general way. "It's very easy to make a name for yourself and you don't need to think about it too much." Liang shook his head, and the huge rock tortoise would be spotted by the 10th floor city as soon as it approached. He didn't believe that there would be no spies in the outer circle of the city. Maybe he would be found before he got too close to the 10th floor city. Therefore, this time Liang will not hide his traces, staying directly on top of the rock tortoise to visit the 10th floor city. What reputation? Can there be a sensation riding a barbarous beast? Then what are you worrying about? Yue Kinlan didn't understand. "I am not worried about myself, but others who dare not trade with us too much." Liang sighed. "Being famous also has a big disadvantage, that is, it is easy to scare people." Are you planning to expose little black tortoise?" Yue Kinlan understood instantly. Only the exposure of the little black tortoise can scare people. "Yes, otherwise, just relying on us to contact others a little bit of cargo transactions will be too slow." Liang didn't want to wrestle with the various forces in Shilu City, but had to socialize or something. Then what is the bargaining, all kinds of temptations, thinking that it can take advantage and so on. But this will attract prying eyes and even be robbed. Yuikin's blue eyes of money were all worried. "No, there is no need to worry at all," Liang said confidently. "With the addition of the little black tortoise, he is absolutely not afraid of the attack from the 10th floor. Maybe the chasing person may be a bit close, but the defense is absolutely top-notch. Xianshan is invincible. Moreover, it is one thing to dare to attack in the first place." "So what is your plan?" Yue Kinlan was a little bit embarrassed, so he got in touch with the thief in this way. "I will quote a high price for the goods." Liang's mouth twitched slightly and said softly, "Let our people pretend to be thieves to sell our goods, as long as they are 10% lower. Do you think someone will rush to ask for yuan?" "Profiteer." Yue Kinlan looked at Liang blankly and 2 words flashed in his mind. "What's your expression?" Liang rolled his eyes. He is also learning the routines of some merchants on the earth, which is often easier to sell and ship. It can sell for more than 10 days in just 1 day, which is what Liang wants. Liang wanted to trade a lot but didn't want to sell it at a low price. This quick shipment plan came to his mind when he made the invisible armor. The light completely disappeared to the horizon, and the night was opened again. Liu looked at the Feng tribe in front of her, and drove the road for 5 days against the wind and sand. She finally arrived at the tribe where Elena and Yan Bing had agreed to gather before it was completely dark. I don't know if the two of them are in the tribe. Liu touched the mask on her face. She lurked towards the Feng tribe in the dark, looking for a mark. This is a big tribe. The population is not less than that of Yuetan tribe. There is a mark. It seems that both of them may be in the tribe. Liu found the mark outside the Feng tribe. Under the guidance of the marker, she easily found the breakthrough of the Feng tribe and entered the inner circle of the Feng tribe. Finally, the white-haired girl didn't have to look for someone like she was looking for Yufer, just follow the signs to find the hidden safe house. No, Liu stopped and did not go to the hidden safe house. She looked left and right and felt that something was wrong. The entrance of this hidden safe house is a small gap between house and house, just enough for a person to get in. Standing at the entrance, Liu felt a slight abnormality in his intuition, as if entering it would cause great danger. She stepped back 2 steps and a long arrow was already drawn from the cloak. What's the matter? Did something happen to the two of them? Liu murmured. Papa papa tilde tilde. A few applause came from the cracks, and a tall figure stepped out from the darkness. It's worthy of being the most elite shooter in the last few years. There is something wrong with it, so you can notice it. Are you from that place? Liu's face changed slightly, her figure quickly retreated, and she drew her bowstrings and arrows. Call out. Long arrows flew past the target mysterious figure's throat. Pin, there was a metal crash. The mysterious figure lifted up directly with his arm and 80 blocked the arrow that came. Does your arrow have little strength? The mysterious figure pouted and pulled out the arrow stuck in his arm. Liu squinted her eyes, and the eagle eye talent was turned on, and she could see the opponent's appearance clearly. One half of the face was like a dry tree bark, and the other face was covered with scarlet lines. You are an alien. Liu's face was shocked, and she lost her voice. You actually succeeded. Thanks to your defections, we have the opportunity to evolve. The strange ghost tilted his head and walked out a few steps to be exposed to the fire light from the crack in the window. You are no longer human, Liu gritted. Alien ghosts are creatures between humans and virtual ghosts, possessing the power and body of virtual ghosts as well as a trace of human reason. Human. In this era, talent is the species most likely to die. The strange ghost raised his dry arm like a bark and showed it to the girl. There was a hint of temptation in his voice. You can go back with me so that you can be redeemed without being swallowed up and become a ghost. Redemption annihilated our tribe and captured us to infect the imaginary ghost. Is this your redemption? Liu clenched her lips tightly. Antakai was full of fierce killing intent. These people who were infected with the virtual ghost disease were all a group of experimental subjects. They were suddenly annihilated by the entire tribe, and then they were rescued by the sudden arrival of kind people. They are all self-written and self-directed dramas. That is, let them be willing to be experimental subjects, obediently receive training, obediently complete tasks, and then be dealt with. Oh, it seems that you all know it. No wonder you will defect. The strange ghost suddenly realized and found the reason for the 4 people to defect. He twitched the corner of his mouth, revealing a cruel arc. However, it doesn't matter, you are useless anyway. Shoot 2 arrows in a row, one left and the other right to the eyes of the strange ghost. It's useless, I'm no longer a human being. The ghost's dry arm blocked the arrow again. Clang, the 2 arrows were bounced out without even penetrating their arms. It's actually a 5th-order ghost. Liu's figure quickly backed away. Chinese letter, Chinese letter. Arrows shot out one after another, blocking the path of the ghost chasing. Chinese letter, Chinese letter. The ghost's arm blocked his eyes and the figure dashed past, completely ignoring the arrow. He roared hoarsely, "You can't escape." Liu was silent and the figure rushed towards the tribe, using the house and terrain to shake off the ghost. It's really distressing, I taught them too much. When the strange ghost saw the girl's actions, he knew what was going on. He was talking about distress, but the speed was getting faster and faster, and he ran into a patrol that was just emerging. Puff! The strange ghost flicked left and right and dazzlingly, his fingers scratched his Adam's apple and his hand hit his chest. In less than 5 seconds, 5 members of the patrol team died. Really, don't arouse my appetite. The strange ghost licked the blood on his fingertips. The scarlet lines on his cheeks were stimulated by blood, and they squirmed like earthworms and his pupils turned blood red. What? The speed of the strange ghost was a bit faster, the figure became more manic, and the road was knocked away. Boom! The strange ghost took a shortcut and slammed into the house directly. In the frightened eyes of the owner, he broke the wooden wall on the other side. Sure enough, it's no longer human. Liu felt the movement behind her. A bit of bitterness flashed across her pretty face. If there were no accidents, she might have lost her life today. Do you regret it? What Liu regrets is that she didn't hold her for a while when she separated from Liang. They said don't run away, wasting my time. The figure of the strange ghost appeared behind the girl and grabbed it with 5 fingers and claws. Boom, a young fist smashed from the side and banged on the belly of the strange ghost. Rumbling. The ghost was bombed into the house by BGFF. Are you Elena? Liu looked at the little pink-haired girl with joy. Quickly, there is nothing wrong with that monster. Elena glanced at the house where a big hole had been broken, then turned and ran away to the dark place. Okay, Liu followed closely behind the pink-haired girl, turned left and right, avoiding the patrol. The two left the Feng tribe, hid in a nearby hill, and got into a cave. The girls breathed a sigh of relief at the same time. What happened? Before Liu sat down, she asked anxiously, "Where is Yanbing? Is she okay?" "We exposed that ghosts have been pestering us for more than 10 days. Elena glanced at the entrance of the cave and said wearily. Yanbing drew the other 3 ghosts away. "It is estimated that it will be a long time before I see each other." "4 ghosts," Liu said in astonishment. "Well, it's a team of 4 like us," Elena said softly. "Are they all tier 5 ghosts?" "Isn't Yanbing very dangerous?" Liu asked anxiously. "No, it's the 5th-order strange ghost that I flew just now." Elena shook her wrist. "Does Yanbing say where to gather?" Liu breathed a sigh of relief. "In their 4-person team, only Yanbing is tier 5 and the remaining 3 are tier 4. Sacred Sun City, she has gone to Sacred Sun City," Elena said, lowering her head. "What? Why did she go to that place?" Liu's face changed drastically, looking at the pink-haired girl in disbelief. "They finally escaped from Shenyang City, why do they want to go back again?" "She wants to track down the news of the strange ghost. If we really can't continue, we may try to change." Elena pursed her lips but couldn't speak anymore. Trying to become a ghost. "Is she crazy?" Liu's expression couldn't help but change. "Yanbing wants revenge," Elena softly defended. "Revenge? Who doesn't want revenge?" Liu roared. "The families of the 4 of them all died in the hands of the people in Shenyang City. Everyone wants revenge, but it's hard to survive, let alone revenge." "Liu, don't worry." Elena raised her head and said weakly. She just went to inquire, but she didn't really want to try. "Why don't you stop her?" Liu glared at her. I stopped." Elena shrank her neck. "Then what should I do now?" Liu was a little helpless. She didn't need to think about it to know that the pink-haired girl couldn't stop the cold Yanbing. "Wait for the confused Yufer to come over." Elena sighed and said, "Hope she will be a little clearer this time so she won't be hit by a ghost." She was able to save Liu this time because the strange ghost was too careless, and she did not expect that she would always follow behind. "Don't wait for her," Liu shook her head. "Ah, why?" Elena was stunned. "She went to the 10th floor city," Liu said softly. "Go to 10th floor city, what are you going to do there?" "Did you find any good news?" Elena blinked her warm pink eyes. "Well, we have found angel wings." A smile appeared on the corner of Liu's mouth. "Really? In the 10th floor city?" Elena exclaimed in surprise. "Yes, it's in the 10th floor city." Liu thought of Liang and others who had already gone to the 10th floor city. "We also go to the 10th floor city so we don't have to take risks." Elena stood up happily, packed her things and prepared to leave. Liu pursed her mouth and did not say the news that Angel's tears cannot cure the void ghost infection. She decided to take the person over and talk about it carefully when she saw angel wings. It's easier to accept this way. It can also make Elena happy for a few more days. There is still 1 day away from the 10th floor city. The city of Black Tortoise is getting busier. Liang was making the logo of Black Tortoise City at this time, and one side represented the flag of Black Tortoise City. In the hall, a piece of black cloth is placed on a long table, and Liang is writing on the cloth at this time. "Aren't you drawing a pattern?" Yue Qinlan looked at 2 unrecognized white characters on the black cloth. She feels that painting patterns are easier to recognize and more recognizable, and other forces can also be easier to remember. "This is enough for the time being." Liang shook his head, writing the 2 Huxia characters Black Tortoise. The Black Tortoise flag on a black background represents the symbol of the Black Tortoise City. In the future, the city of Black Tortoise will be stronger, and it will not be too late to add some patterned flags. "I'll let someone hang it." Yue Qinlan got up and picked up the banner, "Step on." Wei Yulan ran in and almost ran into Yue Qinlan, who was about to go out. She panicked to apologize. "Liza." "Well, next time you can't run at the door or corner." Yue Qinlan patted the little maid's head. "Yes." Wei Yulan respectfully watched Yue Qinlan leave. "What happened?" Liang asked calmly. "Yufire Miss asked me to tell the adults that the strengthening secret medicine was successfully made." Wei Yulan quickly reported. "Very good, the strengthening secret medicine is finally made." Mu Liang raised the corner of his mouth, got up and walked towards the door. He had to find out the specific situation himself. He is too short of talents, and there are only about 20 people who really possess force. If you have a lot of strengthening secret medicine, you can expand the number of hunting teams, and you can't always rely on domesticated beasts. In the future, there will be more people in the city, so you can't let the big lizard rush into the city to catch people. After all, it is better to rule by people, and it is better to domesticate animals or to do some secret defense. It's a strange smell. When Mu Liang came to the door of the Yufire Institute, he smelled a strange smell that was unclear. He pushed open the concealed door and saw a messy room with various containers, many of which were recently fired pottery. Here, Yufei's head suddenly emerged from under the table, and the blonde hair on his head was dangling. Why do you stay under the table, and how long have you not taken a shower? Mu Liang looked at Yufei's dress, the same as it was a few days ago. Highland is not short of water, you can take a bath every few days. You don't need to take a bath, it's a waste of time. Yufei waved with one hand and held a clay pot in the other. You have to take a little more rest. Mu Liang stepped forward to help take the clay pot and pulled the blonde woman up from the bottom of the table. That Yufei's face flushed. She stared blankly at her golden eyes and Mu Liang searched for the position of her arm. Is this the secret medicine? Mu Liang looked down at the green liquid in the clay pot. Well, it is a first-order enhanced secret medicine. After using the medicinal herbs of the plantation, the effect is twice as strong as the ordinary secret medicine. When Yufei talked about the secret medicine, there was no shyness at all. How many people can this pot of secret medicine strengthen? Mu Liang weighed a caddy in his hands. It can be given to 10 people. Yufei blurted out, 10 people, it's okay. Mu Liang nodded in satisfaction, and when Run Sheng asked, is it easy to make the first-order enhanced secret medicine? The first level is the foundation. If you can make 10 people at a time, it is just suitable for the small population of black tortoise. It's easy, as long as medicinal herbs are enough. Yufei tilted her head, calculated in her heart and said, you can make hundreds of copies a day. After all, it's not research. After figuring out the formula of the secret medicine, it is very simple to make. I will expand my planting of medicinal herbs. Mu Liang raised his mouth, expecting to ask, what about the second-order strengthening secret medicine? 100 fortified secret medicines can be made in one day, and as long as there is a sufficient population, a human army can be pulled up in a short time. The second order will take a few days. I have found a fit point and will be able to make it soon. Yufei said excitedly, you should rest more lest people get tired. Mu Liang felt that Yufei couldn't keep going. No, I've drunk angel's tears. It can't be better now. Yufei clenched his fists, feeling that he could survive for another 10 days. She drank a drop of angel's tears 4 days ago, and after that she felt like she was reborn. The feeling of sleeplessness disappeared. You rest now and you will study tomorrow. Mu Liang continued to persuade. No, aha tilde Yufei still wanted to stick to it, but she couldn't control her grin and let out a sleepy yawn. She completed the research and production of the first-order enhanced secret medicine. The excitement faded, and she suddenly swept in because of her intention. I slept for a while and Yufei waved his hand in a daze. She folded her hands, her head was pressed against her arms, and she fell asleep on the tabletop. For flowers. It seems that I can't keep going. Mu Liang sighed pitifully, and he could see the thick dark circles under Yufei's eyes. He put down the clay pot, stepped forward to pick up Yufei in a princess hug posture, and stepped into the bedroom and put it on the bed. I don't know how many times this bedroom is useful. Mu Liang looked at the clean bedroom. He thought about the messy research institute outside and knew that Yufei hadn't slept in the bedroom several times without guessing. Tilde Yufei chirped. She held the quilt with her hands and legs, her pretty face was still rubbing against the quilt. It seems to be having a very good dream. It seems that I had a good dream. Mu Liang helped Yufei cover the quilt and turned around and walked out of the bedroom. He looked at the messy interior of the research institute and finally didn't let anyone come to clean it up for fear of disturbing Yufei's arrangement. 0.0. Would you like to find an assistant for Yufei? Mu Liang left the institute holding the clay pot and closed the door. He was thinking about the assistant's problem on the road, like making some secret medicines, just leave it to the assistant. It is better to study secret medicine for talents like Yufei. Forget it, ask Yufei's thoughts next time. Mu Liang is not good at arbitrarily making decisions, lest Yufei can't adapt. He has not forgotten that Yufei is an infected person of the virtual ghost infection and will care about others' opinions. Otherwise, when facing everyone, the cloth strips on the head should also be untied. Liang returned to the house with the strengthening secret medicine, and when he entered the lobby, he saw the girl with rabbit ears lying on the table to practice handwriting. 9 heavens has passed, and there are only 2 people who are still literate, Minuo and Wei Yulan. Liang, what are you holding? Mino heard the footsteps and looked up curiously at the clay pot. It's a strengthening secret medicine, I can just give you a try. Liang put the clay pot in front of the girl. Drink it directly. Mino's blue eyes lit up, and he looked at the green liquid in the clay pot. Well, it's for 10 people, take a few bowls to divide it. Liang also wanted to try whether the strengthening secret medicine is effective for him. Good. Mino trot to get the pottery bowl. Recently, Yue Feiyan's fire control technology is getting better and better, and many high-quality pottery has been burned, some of which are sent to the city lord's mansion for use. 10 first-order potions are divided into bowls and placed on the table. It looks so weird. Liang looked at the 10 bowls of green liquid in front of him, and they didn't think it was anything to put them in a clay pot. They look so permeating now. Drink now? Mino asked expectantly. She has long wanted to become stronger, and recently she has been practicing how to dismantle and deal with various melee combat, and what muscle memory does she have? Drink it? Liang took the lead in holding a bowl of strengthening secret medicine and opened his mouth to drink. Guru, bitter, very bitter, tongue tingling.